Living with the Arrogant Queen is Surprisingly Not Uncomfortable, Volume 4, Miss Wunko, Audiobook by Masquerade at Masquerade Audiobooks. Chapter 1, The Queen Who Realized Too Late. After-school clamor echoed through the school building. Behind it, in the quiet, deserted bike parking lot. "Hayashi-san, I like you." A boy had called me out and nervously confessed his feelings. I didn't think he was bad-looking. In fact, he had an androgynous charm, a tall and slender build. You could easily imagine him working as an idol for some agency. "Yeah, who even are you?" But even so, I didn't feel flattered by his confession. Getting confessed to out of nowhere by someone whose name I didn't even know was nothing but a nuisance, so I turned him down. After that, he never approached me again, and that annoyed me, just a little. If your feelings are so shallow that getting rejected once makes you give up so easily, then don't bother confessing in the first place. Still, people around me, unaware of how I felt, started calling me something behind my back. The Arrogant Queen. At first, I couldn't accept the nickname. Arrogant Queen? I wasn't that bad, was I? But over time, I started to warm up to the name. If rejecting someone I didn't even like got me labeled like that, then maybe it was better if people were too scared to get involved with me. In other words, it was like bug repellent. It was my way of avoiding unnecessary drama with people who only knew childish love, those who'd flaunt their feelings and turn them into gossip fodder. That's why, even though I knew the nickname carried a certain malice, I didn't make a fuss about it. Although, there was one more reason I never objected to being called that. I was jealous. I'd never once wanted to insult someone just because they were liked by the person I liked. And so, I envied those people, caught up in their feverish emotions. Because think about it. Even if you put someone down for being liked by your crush, it's not like that's going to make your crush love you back. In fact, if they found out, they'd probably hate you even more. But there were people who could act like total idiots for love without thinking about the consequences. And I envied that kind of love. The kind of love where you can't stop thinking about someone, whether you're asleep or awake, just like the saying, "Love is blind." Because I didn't have the confidence to feel that strongly about anyone. Not before, and not going forward either. Or so I thought. It wasn't until just recently that I realized how completely wrong I'd been. Right now, I'm living with a guy. We're not lovers. We're not married. It's a long story, but to sum it up, before I met him, I was living with another guy who abused me. The man I live with now took me in to protect me from that abuser. That's how our cohabitation began. And from the start, it's been nothing but trouble. A run-in with the abuser. Getting attacked with a knife by a girl manipulated by him. Just when I thought I'd finally escaped his clutches, I returned to my family home only to learn my estranged father was seriously ill. We reconciled, but not long after, he passed away. Worried about my mother, who would now be living alone, I decided to stay at home. But my mom could see through me. She knew I still wanted to go back to that guy. After some persuasion, I made up my mind to return to his apartment. Even though Yamamoto had already heard directly from me over the phone that I was staying with my family, he still came to pick me up at the station. And then he said, "If I let you go now, I know I'll regret it. I've been through a lot. Before high school, and especially after, I've had more intense experiences than I can count. I've cried, I've laughed, I've even lost it in hysterical anger. But I'd never felt my heart shake like that before. That was the moment. The moment I realized I had feelings for Yamamoto. The moment I finally understood what it meant to be in love. Truly, blindly in love, so much so that I couldn't stop thinking about him, day or night. Hayashi, it's almost time to transfer trains." "Why, yeah." We were on the train, heading back from my family home to Yamamoto's apartment. The express train we were riding was apparently about to arrive at one of the biggest terminal stations in Tokyo. From the closest station to my hometown all the way to now, I had been sitting right beside Yamamoto. And honestly, I hadn't felt alive the entire time. I realized my heart was pounding like crazy. Worried Yamamoto might notice how nervous I was, I kept glancing at him from the corner of my eye, but every now and then our eyes would meet. And each time I'd get flustered, my face heating up as I quickly looked away. At first, I wanted to convince myself otherwise. I admitted I liked Yamamoto, but the feelings I had for him weren't all that different from the fleeting crushes I'd had before. It was probably something more like admiration. That's what I wanted to believe. But I couldn't keep lying to myself, not after spending several hours on the way back to his apartment from my hometown. To be honest, the fact that we were sitting so close, close enough that I could easily reach out and hold his hand if I wanted, was driving me crazy. No, really, it would have been easy. The trip from my hometown to Yamamoto's place is fairly long, and he had to make that round trip just to pick me up. Not long ago, he had been dozing off in the seat next to me. I had the perfect opportunity while he was asleep. I could have just taken his hand, but I couldn't do it. Sure, part of it was embarrassment, but more than anything, I was scared. What if he woke up just as I reached for him and made a disgusted face? What if he pulled away? All those negative thoughts flooded my mind, and in the end, I just sat there for most of the ride, staring at the back of the seat in front of me. What's wrong with me? I mean, I've held his hand before, when we went to the summer festival, and even when we visited the real estate agent. I didn't feel even a hint of embarrassment back then. I'm acting like some heroine from a shoujo manga in love. Hayashi, this is our stop. Why yeah. Before I realized it, the train had already pulled into the terminal station. Yamamoto nudged me to get off the train, and the platform was packed with people. So crowded, Yamamoto muttered. Well, of course. It's one of the busiest terminal stations in Tokyo, and with the evening rush hour, the platform was so packed it was hard to even find space to walk. Don't get lost. Why yeah. I nodded at Yamamoto's warning. But honestly, I didn't feel very confident I could keep up with him. I have a terrible sense of direction, and just walking through a maze-like station with this many people made me so nervous I could hardly stand it. Maybe I should just ask to hold his hand. At this rate, I was sure my anxiety was going to become reality. Well, getting separated wouldn't be the end of the world. I might end up boarding a train going in the complete opposite direction from his apartment, but even then, I could probably manage somehow. I wouldn't. What really scared me wasn't getting lost. It was just one thing. What if Yamamoto gets fed up with me for getting lost? He made the effort to come all the way out to pick me up from my hometown. If I ended up getting separated from him here, wouldn't all of that have been for nothing? Even if he didn't say anything, Yamamoto was an extreme efficiency freak. Not long after we started living together, I'd set a rule for him: 1 hour of cleaning per day. He's still religiously followed it ever since. But lately, he's become obsessed with figuring out how to clean the entire apartment more effectively within that 1 hour. The result? Lately, in his free time, Yamamoto's been researching cleaning tools online. His motto: clean wide areas in less time, with precision. Hayashi, thanks. Ever since you made that rule, I've been really into finding the best cleaning gear. Every day feels super fulfilling now. Right before I went back to my parents' place, he told me that with such a gleeful look on his face that I honestly thought he'd finally lost it. Anyway, the point is, Yamamoto's a detail-obsessed, logic-driven, efficiency-loving guy who doesn't seem all that attuned to other people's feelings. Would someone like that really choose to spend his life with a hopelessly directionally challenged wreck of a woman like me? No way he would. That's why I absolutely cannot afford to lose him right now. Wait, hold on. Did I just imagine spending the rest of my life with Yamamoto? Sure, right now he's my housemate, but he's not my boyfriend, not even close. And yet here I am, daydreaming about marriage. Am I really feeling this much emotional chaos over Yamamoto? That Yamamoto. The guy I hated most back in high school, Yamamoto. This is ridiculous. Did we hit the evening rush or something? This cannot be happening. As someone who used to be called the arrogant queen back in high school, as someone who brushed off the affections of so many, I owe it to all the people who hated me to remain steadfast in my role as the queen. Oh yeah, guess it's that time of day. I can't even walk straight in this crowd. Same here, I've been weaving through people nonstop. Isn't it kind of impossible not to get separated in this? Yeah, I guess that's true. Yamamoto let out a short hum before continuing. All right, if we get separated, let's meet up on the next platform. What? No way, I'm insanely bad with directions. That's a pretty pathetic thing to admit about yourself. That's why. My heart started to pound even faster. I remember reading somewhere that mammals, regardless of species, have a finite number of heartbeats in a lifetime, somewhere around 2 billion. Which means, by freaking out like this, I was steadily marching closer to death. This is bad. My thoughts are spiraling, but still, wasting my precious heartbeats on something like this, my pride as the queen won't allow it. That's why I say it, Megumi. You were arrogant in high school, weren't you? You were the queen, weren't you? Then say it. Let me hold your hand. Don't get the wrong idea. I just don't want to cause you trouble if I get lost, that's all. It's not like it'd kill me if you hated it or anything. I mean, you don't have to shut me down that harshly, though. And then Yamamoto, in my head, rejected me. You what? Tee the strap, can I hold onto your bag strap? I chickened out what? As you can see, I'm wearing a backpack. Then, let me hold onto your backpack. After getting rejected by the imaginary Yamamoto in my head, I totally lost my nerve. Even if it's just to avoid getting separated, isn't walking around gripping someone's backpack kind of sketchy? Then walk behind me. Yeah, sure, I'll do that. What happened to the queen's pride again? I was raised in an average Japanese household, just your everyday commoner, really. Now everything just feels unbelievably stupid all of a sudden. Hayashi, let's take that escalator up. Okay. Following Yamamoto's direction from behind, I stepped onto the escalator. I started to get a little anxious and glanced over my shoulder to make sure he was actually still behind me. What's up? I just wanted to make sure you were really following me. Yamamoto scrunched his face in total confusion. Was that reaction really necessary? I'm terrible with directions, okay? Can't you be a little more considerate of how anxious I am? Seriously, Yamamoto has no idea how girls think. That's why he's still a damn virgin. Grumbling internally, I reached the top of the escalator, and beyond the sea of people, I spotted several shops. A convenience store, a cafe, even a major clothing chain. I noticed one of the shops and came to a sudden stop. What's up, Hayashi? Hey, Yamamoto. Wanna grab Ekaiban for dinner tonight? Yamamoto followed the direction I was pointing toward. Past the crowds parting around us in mild annoyance stood a train station bento shop, its exterior glowing a calm, amber orange. Ekaiban, Yeah, what do you think? What? Well, Ekaiban are usually something you enjoy while traveling, right? But we're technically at the end of our trip now. So I was just wondering, does it still count as proper Ekaiban if we eat them after the trip? Do you enjoy life, clinging to that kind of rigid mindset? I wasn't expecting such a grandiose slapdown. Okay, fair. I probably sounded a bit sharp. I had meant to make a light jab, but honestly, I was still kind of irritated about chickening out earlier, and I may have taken it out on Yamamoto without realizing it. Hayashi, you've really leveled up. What are you talking about? Your phrasing, it's gone a bit more philosophical. Back in the day, you would have just blurted out gross or annoying without a second thought. Well, yeah, I guess. But that exchange just now, that was straight out of a literary novel. Too much credit, at best it was light novel tier. Don't diss light novels. Why's he defending them so hard? Wait, is he secretly deep in the light novel swamp? What does being deep in a light novel swamp even mean? Anyway, let's just buy dinner there. You probably don't have any groceries at home, right? Oswell. What's with that pause? Pause? What pause? There was a pause. Suspicious? No way. You met up with Akari yesterday, didn't you? I raised my voice without meaning to. No. Liar. I'm not lying. You are. Tell the truth. It's not a lie. Under the pressure, Yamamoto finally gave a half-hearted response. There was a call, though. A call? It was one-sided. She just said she was coming over for a hot pot party at my place and told me to buy the ingredients. I see. Of course, I said no. I had already planned to pick you up today. But then she said, fine, we'll just do it tomorrow, and insisted we make it a party for all three of us. She wouldn't take no for an answer. I see. Hayashi. What? You're not suddenly in a bad mood or anything, are you? Bad mood? You think I, of all people, would get in a bad mood just because you and Akari had a phone call yesterday? Of course not. Bingo, of course I'm in a bad mood. What kind of person wouldn't be when the guy they like is chatting about another girl, one he's obviously close with? But now I understood. Hey, I don't think you really need to come pick me up anymore. That was when I had called Akari with the unreasonable request to pick me up from my hometown, and Yamamoto had flatly told her it wasn't necessary. Hey Yamamoto. What is it? Were you the one who told Akari to come pick me up? Yeah, I did. Did you bring it up yourself? Yamamoto looked momentarily confused, unsure what I meant. But he seemed to catch on quickly, lifting his gaze to the ceiling, as if recalling yesterday's secret phone call with Akari. If that's what you mean, then I dodged the question at first. He admitted reluctantly. Going to pick up a girl who's not even your girlfriend, it's not just clingy, it's borderline stalker behavior. That's kinda creepy, right? Well, yeah, I guess. You're supposed to deny that. That's why I dodged the question and told her I had something I absolutely couldn't get out of. But Akari caught on, didn't she? Yeah, still, the first thing she said was, "You haven't left to pick her up yet." Despite the jealousy that had nearly driven me mad, I also felt a little happy. Not just my mom and Yamamoto, but even Akari understood how I felt. I really had such good friends. Tomorrow, I'd have to put my all into making a delicious hot pot for them. For now, like you said, let's just get station bento for dinner. Cooking after a long trip is too much of a hassle. Trying to steer the topic away, Yamamoto quickly launched into a rapid-fire monologue. We bought a 2-colored bento and a Mountain Bandit-style grilled meat bento from the station shop, then got on the transfer train. We hardly spoke during the ride. What made me a little happy was that just after we left the terminal station, a seat opened up in front of Yamamoto, and he let me have it. But I didn't thank him. There were people around, and I was too embarrassed. To hide my blushing cheeks, I kept my eyes locked on my phone. After being rocked in the train for about 20 minutes, Yamamoto let me know it was time to get off. We stepped off the platform and out of the ticket gate, and even for someone as directionally challenged as me, a familiar view spread out before me. I recognize this place. Well, it's the station for where we live. That made me just a little happy. That I could remember the town where Yamamoto lived, that I got to see this scenery again. Think you can find your way home? Of course I can. I started walking. Until now, Yamamoto had been guiding me, but this time was different. I crossed the station rotary, watching out for cars, turned right at the big fast food joint, then left at the cram school building. Walked along the street for a bit, heard the cheerful voices of children playing in the park on the right, and smiled at the sound. In the residential area, I passed by houses, imagining their dinner plans from the smells wafting out. That one's having curry tonight, I thought. I averted my eyes as I passed the supermarket where I'd once bumped into a college acquaintance. And before long, I looked up at the familiar apartment. As usual, the lights in the room were off. My housemate is a college student who heads straight to his part-time job after lectures, so he usually gets home after I do. Normally, right about now, I'd be thinking I better get started on dinner. Don't need to make dinner tonight, huh? Guess not. Ever since I quit college, I had been back at my family home for a while. With my dad's condition, it wasn't exactly relaxing, but there were still moments where I felt like a kid again, getting all warm and fuzzy inside as I reminisced. And yet the time I've spent living with Yamamoto in this apartment has been far shorter than what I spent at my parents' house. But somehow, this life here has already become a part of my daily routine. That's why, right now, my heart feels full. I'm smiling. I really should thank my mom. I murmured softly. Not just your mom. Yamamoto responded in a voice just as quiet. Your dad too, right? I remembered the crematorium, the image of my father turning to ash and rising into the sky. You're right. Yamamoto was right. But it's not just my parents. There was something else he was forgetting too. Akari as well. This daily life I have now, it's thanks to the support of so many people. And you too. And out of everyone, the one who did the most for me. A thank you. Was him, at least say that kind of thing inside. Saying it out here's embarrassing. Haha. You're the same as ever. Maybe that's why I ended up falling for Yamamoto. I smiled softly. Chapter 2. The Queen Who Stopped Pretending, the day after we got back to Yamamoto's place. When I woke up, the futon he used had already been folded and put away in the corner of the room. I'm not exactly what you'd call a morning person, and honestly, I wasn't sure if what I was seeing was a dream or reality. I concluded it was probably still a dream. FYI. Rubbing my sleepy eyes, I wandered into the kitchen. The moment I did, I caught a whiff of something chemical, and my senses snapped awake. What is that smell? Oh, morning. Morning, so, what's that smell? Oh, I figured I'd clean around the sink today. While I was at it, I soaked the dishes in some kitchen bleach. According to Yamamoto, for dishes stained with things like tea residue, a mixture of citric acid and water works well. But apparently it's not suitable for materials like plastic or metal. Gets the dishes clean, and while they're soaking, my hands are free to clean something else. Two birds with one stone. Hi. The sharp, suspicious smell had made me worry he was up to something weird, but it turned out I was just overthinking. Come on, Hayashi. That's all the reaction I get for such an efficient plan. Didn't you do the same thing before? When I pointed that out to the overly enthusiastic Yamamoto, he fell silent. He seems a little restless today. And then it hit me. Oh right, Akari's coming over today. I'd been so relieved to be back in Yamamoto's place, and enjoying a delicious station bento that I completely forgot. You really haven't built up any resistance, huh? I teased him with a smirk, but then my expression turned serious. Wait, me being back in this apartment means I have to live under the same roof as Yamamoto again, right? Young man and woman, living together under one roof. There's no way something isn't going to happen. Well, technically, up until now, nothing ever has happened, but things are different now. My feelings have changed. Not that I'd ever be the one to make a move or anything. That would be way too embarrassing. Not happening. Still, maybe, just like my feelings changed, Yamamoto's might change someday too. Sai, isn't there some way to keep Kasahara from coming over today? Do you really hate the idea of Akari coming over that much? He sounded so miserable, I couldn't help but give him an exasperated smile. But then something else came to mind. Wait, Yamamoto liked Akari, didn't he? My thoughts came to a grinding halt. Up until a second ago, I thought I was smiling naturally, but I could feel that smile starting to freeze over. I was overwhelmed by emotions I couldn't even put into words. But one thing was certain, it wasn't a good feeling. Hayashi. Oh, yeah. What's wrong? You totally zoned out. I had been spacing out. Sorry. I think I'm still half asleep. Really? If you're not feeling well, I can make breakfast. I'm fine, just go finish your cleaning. Otherwise, there won't be any breakfast. All right. I wondered if I had managed to cover it up. Still, ever since I remembered the depressing fact that Yamamoto liked Akari, I could feel my mood sinking deeper with every passing second. That's right. And worse. I told Yamamoto I'd support his feelings for Akari. I cursed myself for saying something so careless just a few weeks ago. After we finished breakfast and I'd done the dishes, still regretting that careless thing I'd said before, the doorbell rang. Me egged. When I opened the door, Akari hugged me tightly. Ah, Akari, good morning. Sorry for causing you so much trouble. No, not at all, you didn't. I'm the one who's sorry I couldn't be more helpful during such a difficult time. What are you talking about? You've helped me so much. Back in high school, Akari had been my best friend. I confided in her about everything, and whenever there was drama, she'd step in and smooth things over. I was always relying on her, both then and now, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one who leaned on her. That's why Akari wasn't just important to me, a lot of people counted on her. And I was sure that among those people was Yamamoto. That's why Yamamoto fell for Akari. How long are you two gonna keep standing in the entryway? Ah, come in, Akari. Thanks for having me. Yamamoto's voice snapped me out of it, and I quickly ushered Akari inside. I'm so excited for the hot pot party. I'm gonna eat a ton. Akari said cheerfully. Were you always such a glutton? Yamamoto asked. Nope, I'm usually a light eater. But if it's food Meg made, I can eat as much as I want, even if my stomach explodes. Damn, that's some serious dedication. Right, I know, right. The two of them were talking so happily, I just watched in silence. Watching the guy I like and my closest friend from high school chatting so naturally would have felt heartwarming until recently. But now, it just hurt. Still, if I was going to consider Yamamoto's feelings, this was probably the right thing to do. Still, I was really surprised the day before yesterday. When I suggested the hot pot party to Yamamoto-kun, he said he'd go pick up Meg. You don't have to say everything out loud. I mean, come on, Meg. You are totally loved by Yamamoto-kun. That's right. Yesterday, Yamamoto came all the way to my family home to pick me up. Even though I'd told him over the phone I planned to stay there, with no guarantee I'd ever come back, he still came for me. I didn't know how deeply Yamamoto really felt about me, or if it even counted as romantic. But at the very least, I can say for sure that he valued me enough not to want our relationship to end just yet. So maybe I still have a chance. But is it okay for me to be the one to make a move on Yamamoto? From the outside, the two of them look like such a perfect match. That's why, before I even realized I had feelings for Yamamoto, I was trying to help bring them together. Would it really be okay to ruin that? Hey, Yamamoto-kun. Remember that girl Iri-chan, who was all over you the other day? Huh? Who? Just as I'd been quietly reflecting on their relationship, a name I didn't recognize came up, and I glared at Yamamoto. My first thought was, this jerk, flirting with some other girl behind my back. But then I saw the look of confusion on Yamamoto's face. You know, the girl who came up to you that time we first talked at the university. Akari explained. Oh, that one. Yamamoto finally seemed to remember. You little. And no, that was the same day you ran into that abusive ex of yours. That's why I remember it. Under my glare, Yamamoto hurried to explain himself. Great. Just what I needed. I was annoyed that Guy had even come up. Come to think of it. That was also the day Yamamoto smelled like someone's perfume, and I got so pissed off I stormed out of the house. So that girl who left perfume on Yamamoto back then, that must have been this Iri person. That Iri-chan said she wants to see you again, you know. Ooh la la. When I shot Yamamoto another glare, he let out a deep, exhausted sigh. Then do me a favor and gently turn her down for me. Why? Don't tell me she's totally not your type. Oh, well, yeah. Yamamoto answered vaguely. I was glad he wasn't interested in this Iri girl, but honestly, I wish he'd just flat out said he wasn't interested at all. Angry glare intensifies. I see, so you're just not looking for a girlfriend right now, huh? No comment. For the record, I'm not looking for a boyfriend right now either. Wait, if she's not looking for a boyfriend, then that means there's no guy around right now who meets her standards. Which means Yamamoto isn't even in the running as a love interest for her, right? Then even if I end up dating Yamamoto, it wouldn't be like I ruined something between them. I wouldn't be getting in the way. Meg, how about you? Is there someone you want to date right now? Just as I was lost in thought, Akari hit me with a sudden, pointed question. Caught completely off guard, I panicked. What do I do? Should I dodge the question, or just tell the truth? I'll tell her. I've never been good at hiding things, and I'm not the kind of person who can sit on a bunch of messy feelings and just let time pass peacefully. I've always spoken my mind. Whatever happens, happens. Right here, right now, I'll settle this once and for all. And now's not a good time, I'm still in mourning. I couldn't do it. The fear of being rejected by Yamamoto was too much, and I couldn't say a word. Dad, I'm sorry. I just used you as an excuse. Then once the 49 days are over, is there someone you want to date? Hey, that's seriously inappropriate. Sorry. Thanks to Yamamoto stepping in to rescue me, I managed to escape the question. Should we get this hot pot party started? It's already 2 o'clock. Oh wow, it is. Yeah, let's get started. Geez, you said you'd be here by noon, and you're over an hour late. Sorry, I couldn't decide what to wear. Wait, what? Didn't Akari just say she wasn't interested in dating anyone right now? Does that mean she dressed up because she was going to see Yamamoto? Because I was going to see Meg, duh, I had to look cute. So, it was for me. Now that I think about it, could it be that Akari likes me? Sometimes it really feels like her feelings for me go beyond just friendship. Nah, well then, let's get the hot pot going. I stood up and started prepping. Although, while we were waiting for you, we already got most of the prep done. All that's left is to heat it up. Sorry. It's fine. Because while we waited for Akari, I got to cook with Yamamoto. He'd clumsily gripped the kitchen knife, and I'd teased him. Were you seriously cooking for yourself while I was gone? And when I took over with practiced ease, he said things like, "You've been handling the cooking lately. And I'm really glad to be eating your food again." Then, ouch, I'd gotten a little too excited and cut his finger. After that, Yamamoto quickly brought me a bandage, but I put it on myself. I was too embarrassed, and my hands were shaking so badly that I was afraid he would notice something was wrong. Anyway, in summary, it felt kind of like we were newlyweds, and yeah, it was actually pretty fun. So, you don't have a takoyaki plate, but you do have a hot pot. Akari, still lounging in the living room, asked Yamamoto. Him? Ah, well, hot pots are kind of a standard for people living alone. Really? But that pot's pretty big. Wait, did you go out of your way to buy it just because I said I wanted to do a hot pot party? I didn't. Wow, you're still a terrible liar. Just like always. And you're still the same. You love teasing people, huh? Listening to the two of them talk, I felt a little unsettled. I had said before that I would help Yamamoto and Akari get together, but seeing them now, they seemed to have a good relationship without any help from me. I wonder how they became friends back in high school. Meg, anything I can help with? After chatting with Yamamoto for a while, Akari turned her attention to me. Nah, I'm good. I couldn't think of anything to do while the pot was heating up. Really? I just wanted to use helping as an excuse to flirt with you. Then, could you scoop the rice for us? But then I don't get to flirt with you. Well, in that case, wanna just flirt without the helping part. That's no good, absolutely not. I don't get it. Flirting is wrong, but flirting while helping is fine. How does that make sense? Then I'll scoop the rice. What? So I'm just supposed to sit around in the living room doing nothing? You're the guest, aren't you? Let us take care of you. He's right. Boo. You two are so cold. Even though we are taking care of her. In that case, maybe I'll just go rummage around under the bed. Why? To find out Yamamoto-kun's secret kinks. There's nothing shady down there. But if you do, you're banned from this house for life. You won't set foot past the threshold again. Then where do you keep your stash? Are you even listening? It's on his tablet. Remembering that time Yamamoto had some shady videos saved on his tablet, I slipped up and said it without thinking. Sorry. I gave a half-hearted apology, and then started wondering how Yamamoto's been dealing with those urges since I moved in. But I quickly shut that thought down. Before, I would have joked about helping him out if he begged nicely, but now I was afraid I would lose control and do something reckless. Tablet? Where? Where is it? Give me a break. She's right. Give him a break, Akari. If Yamamoto really did have some sleazy videos on that tablet, I think I might actually kill him, and then die right after. Well, if Meg says so. You'd better be thankful, Yamamoto. You're the one holding a knife to my throat here, you know. Yamamoto sighed, clearly exasperated. Yamamoto-kun, you shouldn't talk back to Meg. Akari said playfully. The fact that you even get to live with her is already a miracle. You should be way more humble. Is Akari? What is it, Meg? Don't talk badly about Yamamoto. I meant to say it calmly, but my voice came out firmer than intended. But I couldn't help it. I couldn't just let her say that. Who do you think rented this apartment? Who had nowhere to go and no money? Who was dealing with all kinds of crap on their own? What Akari said wasn't just off, it was way off. This whole living arrangement exists because of Yamamoto's kindness. It's because of him that I'm even okay right now. Even if it's Akari. Even if I knew she was just teasing. I couldn't stand hearing her talk badly about Yamamoto. My heated emotions were gradually cooled by the still, quiet air of the room. That's not what I meant. I rushed to explain myself. I just mean, I don't like it when someone talks bad about their housemate, you know. My voice came out weak, but maybe I could still smooth this over. Just a little. Yamamoto looked confused, but I think I pulled it off. And Akari. I see, sorry. She gave me the gentlest smile I'd seen from her all day. Hey, maybe the hot pot's ready. Why, yeah. Let's check. And with that awkward air still lingering between us, we started our hot pot party. Chapter 3. The Queen Drowning in Love. It's been almost a month since Yamamoto and I started living together again. Today, I returned to my family home for my father's 49th day memorial service. The service was held quietly with only close relatives. Some of the same people who had spoken ill of me behind my back during the wake and funeral also attended. But thankfully, there were no major incidents, and the ceremony proceeded without trouble and ended peacefully. Thanks for coming. Sorry to make you come back so often. After the relatives had gone home and things had settled down, my mother said this to me warmly. No, I should be the one apologizing. You did most of the preparation, even though it seemed like so much work. It's fine. Actually, I'm glad I didn't have to rope you into this. She poured me a glass of barley tea from the fridge. Even though summer was technically over, the lingering heat made the night feel sweltering. The ice-cold barley tea was incredibly refreshing. Well then, When it's time for my memorial, I'm counting on you. Don't joke about that. It's bad luck. Mom had always liked these kinds of dark jokes. Normally, I'd be able to give a clever comeback, but maybe because we had just lost Dad, I couldn't bring myself to joke around. Sorry. I guess I just felt a bit relieved now that the 49 days are finally over. Even if you're relieved, a joke like that just isn't funny. I said I'm sorry. I took another sip of the barley tea she'd made. Our family's barley tea is sweetened, which is a little different from most households. That familiar taste brought back memories, and for a moment, I felt like a child again. But I was quickly pulled back to reality. Back then, I would have already been asleep at this hour. And more than that, Dad, who would have been here in the living room with us, was no longer around. Seriously, Mom's jokes aren't funny at all. Oh, right. I ran into Aiken the other day. Mom changed the subject a little awkwardly. Aiken, short for Ishida Yuko, was a friend of mine from high school. We were only in the same class during our 3rd year, but during that 1 year, we became so close that I'd call her a best friend. During that time, it was usually me, Akari, and Aiken hanging out together. Even though I was going through a rebellious phase back then, I still invited them over and introduced them to my mom, so you can imagine just how close the 3 of us were. But now that I think about it, after graduation, unlike with Akari, I gradually lost touch with Aiken. Oh yeah, you saw her. That's why, when Mom said she'd met Aiken again, I could only give a half-hearted response, as if it didn't really concern me. It was a surprise. I ran into her at the supermarket while I was shopping. Hi. Yeah, I think she had her hair in a ponytail last time I saw her, but now she wears it down and doesn't wear glasses anymore. She uses contacts. She looked a lot more grown-up. Sounds like she had a bit of a makeover. Imagining what Aiken looked like now made me feel a little curious about seeing her again. Back in high school, Aiken always placed second in our year on tests. She was the textbook definition of an honors student, but that didn't mean she didn't stand out. On the contrary, her neat appearance gave her a refined air, and she was quite popular with the boys. Though I never once heard of her having a boyfriend, even rumors never made the rounds. Maybe that's because she was a hard person to pin down. Akari had that same elusive quality too, but their personalities were still different. It's hard to explain, but Akari jokes like she's joking, while Aiken jokes like she's telling the truth. What college did Aiken go to again? My mom asked, where was it again? To my shame, I'd forgotten where Aiken went to university. I think she said it was a local school. I see. Mom smiled gently. Then I'm sure she had some nice encounters there. Nice encounters, huh? Back in high school, there wasn't even a hint of a guy around Aiken. But now, Mom, who had just seen her again after years, found her so grown up that she suspected she might have a boyfriend. Everyone seems to be moving forward in life, bit by bit, while I stay stuck. What's with the gloomy face? Sorry. Lately, I've been dealing with a lot, and I think I've become a bit more prone to feeling down compared to before. You've changed a lot too, you know. Mom said that like she was trying to comfort me. Not really. Sure you have. She took a sip of her barley tea, then continued. After all, you ended up with Yamamoto-kun, right? That misunderstanding came out of nowhere. I nearly spit out the tea I had in my mouth. Don't say weird stuff. How's that weird? You confessed to him, didn't you? She asked like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Well, given the situation, maybe it was natural to think that. Yamamoto and I had started living together again. But unlike last time, there was no noble excuse like protecting me from an abusive ex. There was no other reason for us to be cohabiting, unless we were dating. I didn't confess. We were still living together in a twisted, undefined way. What? I haven't. What a waste. Mom went on. I mean, living together without being a couple just adds unnecessary complications, doesn't it? Complications, huh? You're probably right. I couldn't disagree. I mean, back in high school, you were such a heartbreaker. You've gotten seriously shy, huh? You shut up. It was embarrassing that my mom knew what I was like in high school. Wait, how do you even know about that? I asked, puffing out my cheeks, because I was constantly getting called to school over it, you know. Wyatt, Megumi-san is being disruptive in class. Megumi-san got into a fight. Megumi-san made a boy cry. It was always, Megumi-san this, Megumi-san that. Sorry. No need to apologize. Honestly, I kind of enjoyed hearing your stories from the teachers. They were pretty entertaining. Was that supposed to be reassuring? So, think things will work out with Yamamoto-kun? I don't know. What about confessing? Do you plan to? I'm not sure. I'd let go of the excuse that I couldn't confess because it would mess things up between Yamamoto and Akari. That went away after the hot pot party. But now, even if I confessed, I might get rejected. Just thinking about that makes it hard to muster the courage to tell him how I feel. If only I could be sure that he's starting to feel something for me too, then maybe I'd be brave enough to say it. I wish there were some kind of machine that could tell me how much someone liked me. If only there were a way to see, in numbers or something, just how much he liked me. If such a machine existed, would you actually use it? I'd use it without hesitation. I don't think you would. I totally would. But what if that machine told you he didn't like you? Have you even thought about that possibility? Never mind, I don't want one anymore. I muttered weakly. Sorry, that was a mean thing to say. Yeah, it really was. I never imagined you'd turn into such a love-struck girl. Mom said that while pretending to apologize, but her face was all smug. Deep down, she was clearly enjoying herself at my expense. So, what's it like living with Yamamoto-kun? It's nothing exciting. You won't enjoy hearing about it. Oh, come on. I get to hear all about the fine young man my daughter's in love with. What could be more fun than that? You're awful, you know that. I continued with a sigh. Well, there's nothing really interesting to tell. We're always arguing. Really? Yeah. The way he talks just pisses me off. Oh, that's kind of surprising. You're being fooled by his nice exterior. That guy's totally impossible. Just the other day, I wasn't feeling well while doing the housework, and he totally blew up at me. Depending on what you say next, I might tell you to move out of his place. Yeah, you might. I could hear Mom gulp. That day, I'd felt sluggish from the moment I woke up. But I figured I could still handle the chores, so after seeing him off to college, I started cleaning up around the house. Then my condition got worse, and I ended up collapsing onto the bed. Later, I found out I had a fever at the time. And then, Mom looked like she'd just realized something. Don't tell me he got mad at you for that. Well, yeah, pretty much. That's awful. He was furious like, why didn't you tell me you had a fever? Then he said, if you're not feeling well, relying on someone else is part of your job too. And after that, he started blaming himself like, sorry, I didn't notice you weren't feeling well before I left this morning. That's not the story I thought you were telling. Really? Sounds the same to me. I mean, he didn't notice how I didn't want to bother him. That's on him, right? Well, in the end, my fever didn't go down for 2 days, and he ended up nursing me the whole time. Anything else? Got any more of those kinds of stories? More stuff that annoyed me, huh? I looked up at the ceiling and then snapped my fingers. Oh yeah, just recently, he said something ridiculous about my cooking. Your cooking? Don't tell me he complained about the food you made. No, actually, more like the opposite. Huh? Wait, do you mean he didn't even appreciate it properly? Yeah, that's basically it. Seriously. As someone who cooks, that's unforgivable. Right. Just remembering it ticks me off. I made egg soup that day. During the taste test, I thought it was a little bland, so I added some salt. Wait, don't tell me you accidentally added sugar instead. Whoa, how'd you know? Sigh. So then, he tasted it first and said, it's good. But when I took a sip myself, I was like, what the hell? It was awful. Ugh. So I just blurted it out, there's no way this tastes good. Stop pretending to be nice. And guess what he said? I really did think it tasted good, right? Whoa, spot on, word for word. How did you know? Oh, I wonder, maybe, because a certain someone said the exact same thing to me years ago. I wonder who that could have been. Anyway, all of Yamamoto-kun's annoying stories are just you blowing up over nothing. Mom scolded me. But why? If we look at everything you've said so far, clearly you're the one at fault more than Yamamoto-kun. But I'm always like this. It's just my default setting. Don't act like it's no big deal. While Mom looked exasperated, I took a sip of barley tea from my glass and noticed it was already empty. Looking closer, I realized her glass was empty too. I stood up and went to the fridge, pulling out the glass container filled with barley tea. Thanks. Don't mention it. Back in high school, you drink one glass and then disappear to your room without a word. Mom said it with a nostalgic tone. I've grown past the phase of finding my parents annoying. You say that, but I'm pretty sure you still felt that way until last year. A lot can change in a year. Kids can become completely different people. Don't talk like some wise old sage. She laughed. But you're right. I've been watching you since you were this small, and every year you've changed more and more. Really? Yes, for better or worse. I see. Honestly, I thought I'd never get to have such a slow, relaxed conversation with you ever again. But life sure is full of surprises. Yeah, it really is. You're less of a wild horse now. You can do housework. And this is the kicker. You used to be hopeless with directions, but now you managed to come home all by yourself. Okay, that last part was unnecessary. No, it wasn't. Your sense of direction was seriously bad, like dangerously bad. You don't have to put it so bluntly. Truth is, I actually considered going to Tokyo to pick you up for this trip. Mom chuckled awkwardly. Given how directionally challenged you are, I honestly thought it might be too risky to let you travel alone. Plus, it was a weekday, so you couldn't rely on Yamamoto-kun or anyone else. In the end, I figured I'd have to go get you myself. I see. When you messaged saying, I'm heading home now, I was on edge until you made it to the station safely. That's kind of embarrassing. I was genuinely worried, you know. But now that one worry is out of the way, I feel a little lonely. Watching Mom speak with such warmth, though tinged with just a bit of sadness, I found myself wondering if I'd feel the same someday. I don't have a life partner yet, but I do want to raise a child someday. And if I do, I'll probably go through the same kinds of struggles Mom did. Because, well, it'd be my kid, after all. Strong-willed, sharp-tongued, and a bit arrogant, just like me. Someday, I'll probably be just like my mom is now, getting calls from school because of my kid, listening to complaints about their partner, smiling as I watch them grow. Will I get to have those kinds of happy days, too? If I can, then I'd like that, with my future child in Yamamoto. Haya. I let out a long sigh. Lately, I've been weird. And the more I realize how weird I've become, the more I sigh like this, feeling overwhelmed. I'm just in a weird mood right now. Seriously, I'm not even dating Yamamoto yet, and here I am imagining our future. When did I become this intense? It's Yamamoto's fault. Seriously, this is all because that idiot keeps spoiling me. Anyway, once things settle down a bit more here, maybe you can give me a tour around Tokyo. Mom said with a smile, no way, I can't do that. Knowing full well how terrible my sense of direction still is, I frowned. You made it all the way back here just fine, didn't you? You'll be fine. Scope out some nice places for us to eat. I did make it back here, but I'm really not confident. You're acting weirdly timid. Mom seemed puzzled by my attitude. It's just meeting me at the station for a bit of tea nearby, you know? You can't even do that. Nope, I can't. What? Mom looked genuinely thrown off. Then, how did you even manage to make it all the way back here by yourself this time? I didn't explain, did I? You need to explain how you came home. While Mom stared at me in confusion, I pulled out a booklet from the tote bag I'd brought with me. What's this? When I placed the booklet in front of her, she looked back and forth between it and me. A guide to getting home. A guide to getting home? What's Mom still looked completely lost. Yamamoto made it for me, after I told him I'd be coming back here alone. She still hadn't fully grasped it. So, you had Yamamoto-kun make you a guidebook just to come home. Once the meaning of my words finally clicked, she looked completely stunned. Why, yeah, is that really so weird? Yes, it is weird. It's got stuff like what train to take, which car, and even pictures of the train. Photos of the platform at the transfer station, photos of the stairs leading to the connecting corridor, photos of the top of the stairs, the next platform. He laid it all out in detail. As I flipped through the pages, Mom's face grew more and more rigid. It's incredibly thorough. Yamamoto's really obsessive about stuff like this. Okay, but being meticulous doesn't usually go this far, right? For Yamamoto, it does. Wow. And there it is, today's biggest display of your blind trust in Yamamoto-kun. Well, even though it looks perfect, Akari totally ripped it apart. Really? Yup. What on earth did Akari-chan not like about it? She said, there's nothing here about what to do if she misses a transfer. Just how badly have you gotten Akari-chan lost over the years? I dunno. I don't think it's been that many times. She looked at this guidebook and still felt the need to point out that you might mess up a transfer. Well, I did mess it up after all. Is not the right reaction here. But still, I think Akari was being too harsh. Yamamoto worked so hard to make that guidebook for me. That's why I made up my mind. Akari's criticism was wrong. Yamamoto-kun's guidebook is perfect. And to prove it, I decided I'd make it here without messing up the transfers. You really shouldn't be bragging about that after failing. Yeah, I know. That hit a little too close, and I hung my head in shame. Actually, you didn't really make it here on your own at all, did you? But I did make it. I had the guidebook. Normal people don't get a guidebook made for them. Even little kids running errands for the first time usually just get verbal instructions from their moms. Wait, hold on. Can a kindergartner travel nearly 200 kilometers on their own? Are you seriously trying to compare yourself to a kindergartner? Mom looked at me like she wasn't sure what to say anymore. Well, anyway, I get the picture. Next time I see Yamamoto-kun, I'll make sure to thank him properly. Oh, that works out actually. Yamamoto's coming to pick me up tomorrow. For some reason, Mom looked surprised. What? Why? I told him he didn't have to, though. I spoke, exasperated. For this trip home, Yamamoto installed a location tracking app on my phone ahead of time. Last night, when I messed up the transfer, he realized something was wrong because the train was supposed to have already departed, but I hadn't moved from my spot. So he contacted me, asking if I was okay because the next train was about to leave. That's when we found out I was on the wrong platform, and from there, things got real messy. He kept saying things like, "It was too soon to let you make a 200-kilometer trip alone," or, "It's my fault, I didn't explain enough." He was really down about it. It was honestly harder comforting him than getting back on track. A good grief. Shocking, right? My daughter is worse than a kindergartner. Mom looked completely horrified. I wasn't really sure what exactly horrified her, but still, that felt kind of harsh. So yeah, Yamamoto said since he has the day off tomorrow, he's just going to come pick me up. I see. I'll go buy a thank you gift then. Oh, I could go get it if you want. No, I'll do it myself. I don't trust you to pick something appropriate. That's kinda mean, isn't it? Let me put it this way. Most kindergartners don't need a GPS tracker, a backup rescue plan, and real-time parental intervention to complete their first solo errand. But those kids on TV have the producers setting everything up behind the scenes to make it all work out right. That's fine. Your sense of direction is so bad, it's entertaining enough to be broadcast. Mom was being brutally savage today. Chapter 4, The Queen and Her Romantic Rival. I've arrived at the station. After the long train ride, I stretched my aching lower back and pulled out my phone to send a message to Hayashi. Not long after the message was marked as read, my phone buzzed with a reply. Got it. I'll let my mom know too. Lately, Hayashi had started finding it too much of a hassle to type messages, so she'd taken to using voice messages, thanks to a tip from Kasahara. Apparently, despite being bad with technology, she was surprisingly flexible when it came to adopting new things, like voice messaging. I should be there in about 15 minutes. I sent that and slid my phone back into my pocket, then began walking. I'd only been to Hayashi's house once or twice before, but I still vaguely remembered the way from the station. So I walked along leisurely, taking in the view of the sea and feeling soothed, watching cats basking in the sun on top of walls, letting the whole thing feel like a vacation as I made my way toward her place. I'm here. Still, once I stood in front of her house, a twinge of nervousness settled in. I'd never been the kind of guy who got to hang out at friends' houses much. And before we even talk about friends, visiting your cohabiting partner's family home, that's not exactly the kind of thing you do with nerves of steel. Especially not when you've once told her parents that she's someone important to you. Maybe I should have taken a short detour to calm down before arriving. But I did say I'd get here in 15 minutes. Well, standing here agonizing about it won't help. Resigned, I rang the doorbell. Yes. The voice from the intercom was fuzzy. I couldn't tell if it was Hayashi or her mother. Good morning. This is Yamamoto. I've come to pick up Megumi-san. I replied politely. Oh, Yamamoto-kun, that was fast. It sounded like her mother. My nervousness ratcheted up another level. It's been a while. Likewise. Between my daughter and that man, we've probably caused you all kinds of trouble. I'd never had this kind of formal conversation over an intercom before, and it honestly felt kind of awkward. Since you're here, why don't you come in? Oh no, I wouldn't want to impose. Don't worry about it. With that noisy daughter of mine and that man out of the house, I've got more than enough time for naps and still too much time left over. Hata. That's not something to laugh at. And Megumi's still not ready, it seems. Wait, really? What the hell has she been doing for the past 15 minutes? So at least stay for a cup of tea, all right. Well, in that case, I'll gladly accept your kind offer. Standing outside waiting for Hayashi would probably make me look suspicious anyway, so I decided to take her mother up on the invitation. She opened the door, and just as I stepped inside, "Mom, my bedhead just won't go away. What do I do?" From somewhere deeper in the house, Hayashi's panicked voice rang out as she stuck her head out. A brief silence. "Why, are you already here?" Finally, her face turning bright red, she broke the silence. "I messaged you 15 minutes ago. That's how time works. Why, you could have taken a detour or something. If you had been ready, and I'd shown up late because I wandered around, you'd be mad at me, right?" "Of course I would. That's why I came exactly on time. I planned for that scenario, not my fault. Still, you should have sensed it." "Bold move? You should have sensed it is a bold move. Because seriously, there's no way I could have. The only one who'd know, she's probably still struggling to get ready right now, would be a mind reader or something. What, am I supposed to be psychic? Wait, don't tell me you've spent this entire time wrestling with your bedhead." "Why, yeah. That rough, huh? Thinking about it now, I guess I've been relying on you to do my hair for a while. That came back to bite me." So it finally caught up to her. Still, how can she say something like that in front of her mom without even flinching? "You've been having Yamamoto-kun do your hair this whole time." "Huh? Oh yeah. I see." Judging by her personality, I figured Hayashi's mom would tease her after hearing something like that. But to my surprise, she turned serious and bowed her head to me. "Yamamoto-kun, I'm sorry." "Huh? What for?" "For now, just take this with you and eat it later, okay?" She tried handing me a paper bag. Judging by the size and weight, it was probably filled with sweets or snacks. No, it's fine." "Really, don't trouble yourself." "It's not trouble, just take it." "Why, yes, ma'am." Wow, she's pushy. Definitely Hayashi's mom. "Thanks for taking care of Megumi." Her words were so earnest that I found myself at a loss for how to respond. "Megumi, don't keep Yamamoto-kun waiting too long, okay?" But. "Come on, let's go to the sink." With that, the two of them headed toward the bathroom, leaving me alone in the entryway. Thanks for waiting." Roughly 10 minutes later, Hayashi returned. Her bedhead was completely gone. "Wait, you were just standing here this whole time? Sorry." "Nah, it's fine. I didn't mind being kept waiting, it wasn't that. But she could work on her time management a little." "Well then, Mom, we're heading out." Okay. Sorry to take you away when you've got university tomorrow, Yamamoto-kun." "Not at all, really. I'll call you later, Mom." Yes. Get home safe, you too." After saying goodbye to Hayashi's mom, we left the house. I felt a bit let down somehow. Since I'd arrived before lunch, I thought we'd at least be invited to stay and eat. But her mom had said, "Sorry to keep you when you've got university tomorrow." So maybe she figured we wanted to get back to Tokyo early. "Sorry about the day before yesterday, having you travel back alone." I apologized to Hayashi, who was walking beside me. "No worries. Actually, isn't apologizing kind of rude? I did make it home on my own, you know." For someone who got lost even with the guidebook I made, she was acting awfully proud. Honestly, it was less exasperating than kind of admirable. "Hey, Hayashi, what do you want to do about lunch?" Can't we just eat after we get back to the apartment?" "If we wait till then, it'll be around 3 by the time we eat." That's a little late for lunch." "Yeah, so I was wondering if you know any good places around here. If so, want to grab an early lunch before we head back." I tossed the idea out casually, but Hayashi suddenly stopped walking beside me. "Hayashi. Tei Yamamoto." "Yeah." She was looking down, fidgeting with the hem of her pants. Was it just me, or did she look kind of nervous? "So, can I take that as you asking me on a date?" Her voice cracked just a bit. Why is she confirming whether going out to lunch counts as a date or not? I didn't really get what she was aiming for, but I figured I should give her an answer anyway. "Nah, not really. I mean, seriously. Just inviting your roommate out to lunch doesn't automatically make it a date. But can't we just call it a date anyway? She murmured something under her breath, but her voice was too soft for me to make it out. HMPH, of course I know a good place to eat. Why are you mad all of a sudden? I'm not mad. That was definitely a mad voice. Well, can you take me there then? To this amazing restaurant. Fine, I'll take you to this super photogenic, affordable seafood spot. Even as she huffed and puffed, rattling off actual details about the place, her anger somehow came off more comical than intimidating. Section, hey Hayashi, when exactly are we gonna get to that amazing restaurant of yours? I thought it was around here. It had been about 30 minutes since I asked Hayashi to guide us to this great restaurant she claimed to know. According to her, it was supposed to be about a 10-minute walk from her place, but after triple that time, there was still no sign of it. Don't tell me you got us lost. A creeping sense of unease came over me. I suddenly remembered Hayashi was notoriously bad with directions. Maybe I asked the wrong person to be the guide? That's weird. I could have sworn it was near the fishing port. Well, we're back at the station. The station we'd returned to was the very one where I had gotten off the train to pick her up earlier. Because of our roundabout route, the walk back had taken twice as long as it did the first time. Also, if I remembered correctly, there was no fishing port near this station. The closest one should have been in the opposite direction from her house. Yeah, I definitely asked the wrong person for directions. Well, getting a little lost is part of the charm of traveling, right? Hey, I haven't even admitted we're lost yet. Okay then, are we not lost? Hayashi clammed up and gave a sheepish, guilty smile. Sorry, I'm a total klutz who can't even give directions. At last, she admitted her mistake and looked seriously down about it. It's fine. Like I said, getting lost can be fun. Sometimes you wander around looking for a place and end up settling for some hole-in-the-wall shop, and it turns out to be cheap and delicious. Looks like all that's around here are chain restaurants. Yeah, she wasn't wrong. I like diner food too, you know. Sorry. She apologized with a genuinely regretful look. I really am useless, huh? It's not like I'm mad over something this small, you know. You're always covering for me, Yamamoto. Huh? That's not true. How many times has she gone out of her way to make sure I ate well? She's helped out more than she realizes. I'm really, really sorry. Looks like my words weren't getting through. At this rate, you'll probably get sick of me, even though you're nice enough to keep living with me. Seriously, though, I've thought this before, but she's surprisingly fragile. Hard to believe this is the same girl they used to call the Queen back in high school. You know what? You'd probably be better off living with someone else. Someone who could actually make your life easier. You're really going in on this self-loathing thing today, huh? I'm being honest. She gave me a dry, empty smile. Yamamoto, is there anyone else in your life? Someone you've thought about living with? Haya. If there is, I'll support you, okay? Come on. I let out a sigh, part exasperation, part disbelief, and replied. I'm not the kind of guy who just wants to live with anyone and everyone. The only reason this arrangement is working is because you're the one I'm living with. Wait, hold on a second. Did I just get baited into saying something super embarrassing? Then. Hayashi's voice wavered nervously. Are you saying, if it were anyone but me, you wouldn't have lasted this long living together? Huh? What's she even talking about? Come on. There's no way that's... Well, yeah, I guess so. At first I was going to deny it, but she's got a point. Then Yamamoto. So, can I take that to mean you don't want to live with anyone but me? This girl. Seriously, what is she saying? She's being ridiculous. Yeah, I guess that's what it means. That was the honest truth. Living with someone I didn't know would be way too stressful. I see. Yeah. I see, I see. I see. Just moments ago, she'd been sulking, but now Hayashi was all smiles. I see, I see. You're that happy to find out I'm the kind of gloomy introvert who doesn't get along with most people. Maybe, wait, no, I mean yes. Actually, yeah, maybe. Which is it? Which do you think? She was completely dodging the question. But either way, Yamamoto, it's a no-go. What is? You can't go flirting with other girls. I wouldn't. Even if I did try flirting, the other person would probably just think I was gross. Exactly. It's not like Yamamoto even has any close female friends to flirt with in the first place. Yeah. It annoyed me a little to hear it said so bluntly, but she wasn't wrong. I didn't really have any close female friends. Actually, come to think of it, I didn't have many guy friends either. Huh. That was when our shared understanding of my sad social life was suddenly interrupted. Senpai. Is that you, Senpai? Huh? I turned around, and there was a girl standing there. She was wearing a sailor-style uniform. It was the same one Hayashi and I had worn up until just recently at our high school. Wow, it's been ages. It didn't take long for me to figure it out. This girl, smiling brightly as she walked toward us, had to be one of Hayashi's old friends. Why? Because back in high school, Hayashi had tons of friends, and I had very few. Is something wrong, Senpai? That's when I noticed something odd. She wasn't walking toward Hayashi. She was walking toward me, a bob cut of glossy black hair. Big, expressive eyes. To be honest, the well-mannered and graceful aura she gave off didn't ring any bells at all. Who is this girl? Hayashi's voice, so cheerful just a moment ago, had turned icy. And no idea. I replied with complete honesty. There was no lie in that. Huh. Oh, right. As if she'd suddenly remembered something, the girl took out a pair of glasses from her bag and put them on. Huh. We'll ignore Hayashi's cold voice for a moment. Because the moment the girl put on those distinctive red-framed glasses, I finally realized who she was. Wait, you're Matsuo Mise. You said you didn't have any close female friends. Completely ignoring Hayashi's grumbling, the girl now standing in front of me was Matsuo Misuzu, a girl 1 year below us at the high school we graduated from. Whoa, you've really grown up. You've changed so much, I didn't recognize you at all. You promised you wouldn't flirt with other girls. Did I, though? Yeah, and you chopped your hair off too. I liked your old style, but this one suits you too. Do I look cute? Huh. Do you think I look cute right now? I'm not the type to just throw out cheesy lines like that. Huh. I mean, well, yeah. That's what I meant. When I first saw Matsuo again, I was planning to act like a cool senior toward one of the few juniors I knew. But her totally embarrassing question threw that plan straight out the window. Not that trying to act like a cool senior was ever really my style anyway. Thank you. She blushed. Hey, Yamamoto. Hayashi called out to me with a voice even colder and deeper than before. What is it, Hayashi? Don't what is it me. I have a lot to say, but first off, it's not what is it. And what exactly is it then? Who is this girl, and what is she to you? What do you mean? She's just a junior. I know that already. Hayashi snapped. Yikes, you don't have to yell. Her name's Matsuo. She's 1 year below us, though honestly, I'm surprised you don't know her. Huh? Never seen her before in my life. She's the one who read the farewell speech at our graduation. Oh yeah, you did that too back in the day. That really pissed me off. At our school, it was tradition for the top student to give the farewell speech at graduation. That's why I gave it back when I was a second year, which is also why Hayashi was mad at me for doing it. Nobody gained anything from that whole situation. Wait, wasn't the girl who gave the speech at our graduation wearing braids? Yeah, that's why I didn't recognize her right away. Looking a little shy, Matsuo gave a polite bow. Huh, I see. Hayashi seemed satisfied with that, but then, why are you even acquainted with a girl 1 year below us? And she was angry again. Why? We were on the same committee. I didn't know why she was mad, but I explained how we knew each other. We were both on last year's cultural festival committee. Back then, you helped me out with so much. No, you really saved me. I should be thanking you. Not at all. I learned a lot from the way you handled things. Senpai, if anything, I'm the one who should be grateful. Well, I am good at what I do, I'll give you that. Because, you see, I'm not the humble type. Hee, you really haven't changed at all, Senpai. Is that so? Yeah, maybe not. By the way, who's the girl standing next to you? Oh, this is Hayashi Megumi. Cutting me off, Hayashi stepped toward Matsuo with a firm, deliberate step. You don't remember that name. Hayashi glared at Matsuo. Hayashi Megumi-san? Oh, the arrogant queen. Gah. You used to go to our school until last year, right? I remember now. Your voice was loud, your attitude even louder, and honestly, I thought you were kind of intimidating. Oh, I get that. Yamamoto. Crap. I quickly covered my mouth with my hand and looked away. After a moment, I snuck a glance at Hayashi. She was glaring at me with teary eyes. Anyway, what brings you two here today? What do you mean? Is it so strange that we're back in our hometown? But Yamamoto-senpai, didn't you go to university in Tokyo? Hey, how does she know that? Back in high school, Matsuo and I only knew each other through the committee. I'm pretty sure I never told her where I went after graduation. WL-senpai, you were kind of famous. The rumors just found their way to me. Ah, that makes sense. I guess I was a bit of a troublemaker. That's not true at all. Whoa. Senpai, you were not a troublemaker. If anything, you were Getting heated, Matsuo stepped toward me, only to suddenly clap her hands as if she remembered something. Senpai, do you have time right now? She asked about my schedule. If it's not too much trouble, there's something I'd really like to talk to you about. Something you want to talk about? I glanced over at Hayashi. She gave me a sharp look, then turned away with a huff. She's all over the place today, upset, flustered, angry. Her emotions are swinging harder than usual. Yeah, I've got time. Thank you so much. Matsuo smiled, clearly relieved. So what's this about? Actually, I'm on the school festival committee again this year. Oh yeah, I guess it's that time of year again. Yes, and this year I'm the committee chair. Since I became the festival committee chair, I've set a goal for myself. A goal? Yes. Matsuo nodded firmly. I want this year's school festival to be open to the public. Chapter 5. The Queen Who Was Stirred into Action. Just earlier, I'd been excited about this local date with Yamamoto, but now the mood had totally shifted. Whose fault was that, I wonder? Most likely mine. I'd meant to take us toward the fishing port, but somehow ended up leading us to the station instead. Still, Yamamoto really let himself get carried away with that girl. Sure, that Matsuo girl is cute, but is that Yamamoto's type? All kinds of thoughts swirled through my head as I followed behind them. I couldn't exactly leave Yamamoto and Matsuo alone together. We ended up at a family restaurant near the station. Why is Hayashi-senpai coming with us too? Along the way, Matsuo gave me a glare filled with open hostility. Don't worry about it. I actually came back to town today to pick Hayashi up. Nice one, Yamamoto. The way he said it, it totally sounded like we were dating. Wait, dating? Jay, just so we're clear, it's not like we're dating or anything, okay? Oh, so you're not? Damn it. The moment I realized Matsuo might think Yamamoto and I were a couple, I got so flustered that I blurted out the truth. Why do I always do this? But still, for him to come pick you up, what kind of relationship do you two have? We live together. Matsuo looked completely stunned. So, like roommates or something? Yeah, something like that. Yamamoto gave a strained smile, clearly trying to play it off. So, Matsuo, mind giving us a bit more context? Shifting the topic, Yamamoto pressed on. You want the school festival to be open to the public again? If I remember right, our high school used to hold its festival as a public event, didn't it? Wait, really? I said, completely unaware of that fact. Yeah, it served as a way for future applicants to get a feel for the school, or for parents to see what kind of school life their kids were having. There was plenty of value in making it public. True. Yamamoto really knows a lot of unnecessary stuff sometimes. Wait, then why did they stop doing public festivals in the first place? It only changed a few years ago. I'm sure even you can guess why. You mean? It was the global pandemic. Some memory I'd rather forget, but never can. Back then, even my closest friends and I could only talk through our phones. We couldn't go to school. And our junior high field trip got replaced by something called a remote field trip. They herded us into the gym and made us watch a promotional video from a travel agency lady with the entire class. I remember thinking, what the hell is this supposed to be? Well, as you know, the global pandemic has officially ended. The school festival was brought back, but it never returned to being open to the public. I had no idea there was such a story behind it. Senpai, you really know your stuff. Well, I looked into it a lot. And that's exactly why I want your advice, Senpai. Like I said earlier, as this year's festival committee chair, I want to bring back the public version of the school festival. I need your help figuring out how to make that happen. Just as Matsuo's objective became clear, we arrived at the family restaurant near the station. Inside, a server guided us to a booth seat. Alrighty. Matsuo slid into the sofa seat first. Yamamoto sat down across from her. Yamamoto, scoot over. I casually sat down right next to Yamamoto. Hayashi-senpai, would you like to sit with the girls? Can't. But I'm shy around people. Huh. Extremely. Well, if that's the case, I guess it can't be helped. That's kind of unexpected. Hayashi, you're the shy type, huh? Yamamoto let out a hearty laugh. What's so funny, this guy? No, actually, I had a hunch and now I'm sure of it. This girl is totally into Yamamoto. You've got to be kidding me. I don't have any complaints about this Matsuo girl or whatever. The one I want to complain about is Yamamoto. This guy keeps acting like there's no way he could be popular with girls. Yet here he is, being admired by Matsuo or whoever she is. Being on the mind of Akari's friend from college. And honestly, he even seems pretty close with Akari behind the scenes. And he's completely got my heart in a chokehold too. Isn't your self-esteem just a little too low? If another girl shows up who's clearly into Yamamoto, I swear I'm going to slap him this time. Sorry, Matsuo. Actually, we haven't eaten lunch yet. Would you mind if we ate here? Oh, is that so? Actually, I haven't eaten either. Yeah, then why don't the three of us eat together? This guy usually gets all flustered, but when it comes to Matsuo or whoever, he handles things so naturally. And no way. Don't tell me Yamamoto also likes this Matsuo girl. Are they into each other? Are we talking mutual feelings here? Am I going to end up crying again? Hayashi, what are you eating? Sorry, I'm not really hungry. I was already full with emotions about Yamamoto. Goo. At that perfect moment, my stomach growled. Sorry, I changed my mind, I'm eating. Ah, yeah, sure. On the verge of tears, I stared at the tablet Yamamoto was holding and browsed through the lunch options. Naturally, I left the operation of the tablet to Yamamoto. If I touched it, I felt like it might just explode. Are you two really not dating? Oh, we don't exactly give off that kind of vibe, right? What kind of answer is that? Well, frustratingly enough, I agree with him. Damn it. If I wasn't so mortified my heart felt like it was going to leap out of my chest, I'd totally be all lovey-dovey and kissy with him already. Is that so? Matsuo tilted her head slightly, a bit uncertain. The mood turned a little awkward, but we somehow managed to finish ordering our lunches. For a while, we even forgot what Matsuo wanted to talk about and got caught up in some silly, light-hearted chatter. After we finished eating, we sipped juice from the drink bar, and the topic of the cultural festival came back up. So, senpai, what do you think I should do? It was Matsuo who brought it up again. I've submitted a request to the school to make the event open to the public. We've even had 2 meetings about it. But the school shows no signs of agreeing to it. Meanwhile, we've already started creating promotional flyers for the general public, but with only about a month left before the festival, we're still at a standstill with the school. I can feel everyone's motivation gradually draining away. Well, yeah, when there's no visible progress, that tends to happen. I'm determined, no matter what, I want this year's cultural festival to be open to the public. Why are you so fixated on making it public? There are a lot of reasons. A lot of reasons, huh? She seems smart, she's probably thought through a bunch of things. So, do you have any good ideas? Ahem. Yamamoto hummed, then took a sip of his iced coffee. By the way, who's the faculty advisor for this year's festival committee? Even if I told you the name, you wouldn't know them. They're a newly appointed teacher. I see. A short silence. Yamamoto took another sip of his iced coffee. This is tougher than I thought. When his glass was nearly empty, Yamamoto spoke. For all his hemming and hawing, that answer was disappointingly empty. Is that so? I'm not a current student, so I don't really know the school's atmosphere. I can't give accurate advice without that. I'm sorry, and yet I leaned on you. You don't need to apologize. How to get the festival open to the public. That's something you all, the current festival committee, should take action on. Yes. So, what I'm about to say is, at best, just an idea. Take it as that. That means, I wouldn't call it a brilliant plan, but I do have some thoughts. Then say that from the start. Don't make such a big show, he's an annoying man, but I kind of like that about him. First, as you said earlier, you've been negotiating with the school about opening the festival to the public, right? Yes. And right now, those talks are at an impasse. Yes. Still, why are the teachers so negative? They're students asking to open the festival, they could at least grant that much. Why do you think the teachers are resistant to opening the festival? Yamamoto asked Matsuo. Matsuo looked flustered by the sudden question. I don't know. I see. Personally, I think there are about 3 reasons. 3. Yeah, okay, first. Yamamoto held up one finger. One is that if you open it to the public, you don't know who'll come to the festival. What's wrong with that? I, who had been listening, asked. The pandemic has ended, and we don't hear about social distancing anymore. There's no uproar about crowds now, so isn't it fine if anyone comes to the school? It's not about the pandemic. The problem is that an unspecified number of outsiders would be coming onto school grounds. Matsuo let out a small, what if a suspicious person takes advantage of the festival being public and breaks into the school? The mere presence of outsiders on campus is the issue. Lately, there have been violent incidents targeting schools. Setting up an event that deliberately invites unknown outsiders is nothing but a risk. But it wasn't a problem in the past, right? Exactly, that's the second reason. Rules can be tightened easily, but loosening them is another matter entirely. Yamamoto held up another finger. Psychological factors matter a lot. For example, in swimming, there was a time when competitors in special suits kept breaking world records, and those suits were eventually banned. Imagine if those suits were allowed again now, athletes set new records, and then people said, okay, we'll ban them again and treat results made with those suits as mere reference times. What would you think? I'd punch them. I knew it, Hayashi. Full marks. No, that's a 120 out of 100 answer. Heh, I'm kind of blushing. In short, that's the deal. Once something's been banned, you have to be especially cautious about loosening the rules. If you're going to relax a restriction, you need evidence strong enough to justify it. If you loosen rules without a basis and a problem happens because of it, the public will tear you apart. Evidence? Matsuo muttered, exactly. This case is a good example. One reason the teachers aren't getting off their seats is that there's no solid evidence showing that opening the festival to the public would be safe. Yamamoto raised a third finger. And finally, well, this one's a bit mean-spirited, but what is it? In the end, teachers are just lazy. Hayashi, do you like studying? Why are you asking that out of nowhere? I tilted my head. Of course I hate it. I do like it. What's with this kid? Yamamoto was asking me, though. Matsuo might like it, but anyway, whether it's studying or anything else, nobody wants to do things they dislike, right? I suppose. So teachers don't want unpleasant work either. And they especially hate jobs that carry risk. On top of that, when something's unprecedented, you can always pick apart tiny details to stall forever. So, right now, opening a student-only festival to the public could lead to incidents, like suspicious people showing up. If something happens, the teachers who allowed it would be the first to take the blame. From their point of view, what you're trying to do is tedious, risky, and offers them no upside. It's just trouble for no benefit. What the hell? That's why nothing progresses, even when you set up meetings. It's just a pain. The teacher's aim is probably to open a token negotiation window to let you vent a little, pick at details to waste your time, and stall until the festival. In the end, they'll likely just hold the festival with students only. That's awful. What the heck is wrong with them? I, who should have been an outsider, was the one who got furious hearing that. But it was unavoidable. Adults are supposed to watch over children's growth, yet here they are acting like they want to avoid responsibility, stall, and shirk. Of course, I'd be angry. Calm down. You're glaring, and other customers are staring. Sure enough, my raised voice seemed to have drawn the attention of other people in the family restaurant. HMPH. I couldn't settle down, so I shifted in the sofa. Senpai, thank you. Matsuo kept her head down and spoke in a weak voice. I understand now. I see our current situation and what a difficult challenge we're trying to take on. I see. But I don't want to give up. I absolutely want the festival to be open to the public. Matsuo looked at Yamamoto with a serious gaze. Seeing that expression, the question Yamamoto had asked earlier popped back into my head. Why is she so obsessed with opening the festival to the public? What should we do from now on? Matsuo asked. I understand why negotiations with the teachers are at an impasse, so the rest is simple. Yamamoto answered. What you should do from now on is present conditions that would make the teachers think, maybe opening the festival to the public is okay. What do you mean? Like I said, the teachers have 3 reasons for not wanting to open the festival. 1. Opening it brings the risk of an unspecified number of outsiders coming. 2. You need to show evidence that opening it is safe. 3. There's no benefit for the teachers in agreeing to open it. From what you explained in the previous 2 meetings, the teachers weren't convinced. So basically, you just need to eliminate those reasons one by one. Make it so both sides get a benefit. Yamamoto continued. First off, the teachers don't gain anything from approving the public opening, right? Then just create something they do gain. Give them a reason to say yes. Well, during the last 2 meetings, I did bring up how much it could contribute to the local community if it's open to the public. Then why do you think the teachers still won't agree to it? Because the evidence for that contribution is too weak. Nope. The teachers don't care about community contribution. Wow, Yamamoto, cutting right through it again. Sure, they'll say that stuff out loud in public settings. How much will this benefit the local community? And all that. But deep down, they don't care. Because no matter how much the school contributes to the community, the students get all the praise. The teachers don't get any credit for it. I see. So the kind of benefit you're offering the teachers needs to change. How about running a survey? A survey? Yeah, but not for students or nearby residents. For parents. For the parents. That's right. Since they're responsible for the students, teachers are naturally cautious around their guardians. If parents are allowed to attend the festival, it becomes an opportunity for them to see firsthand that their children are doing fine at school. And for teachers, it's a golden chance to improve relationships with the parents. That's a strong bargaining chip. You should use it. But what if the parents don't want the festival to be public? Matsuo's concern made me pause too. It's true if the festival's open to outsiders, parents might also start worrying about suspicious people showing up. Oh, come on, you two. You can just fudge the survey numbers, right? Hey, Yamamoto. Senpai, seriously, I will get mad. For once, I agreed with her. If cheating's not your thing, just get creative with how you phrase the questions. Don't ask, do you want the cultural festival to be open to the public? Ask something like, if we were to reopen the festival to the public, when would you prefer it to start? What's the difference? Well, if you ask, do you want it to be public? The answers are yes or no, but if you ask, when would you like it to reopen? The choices become immediately, in 2 years, in 5 years. And so on. You can structure the questions so that no isn't even an option. As usual, this guy's full of devious little tricks. With that format, parents are way more likely to choose immediately. Why? Because if the festival reopens a few years from now, their kid will have already graduated. Why would they care about a festival run by someone else's kid? That actually makes sense. Next up, you need to show proof that it'll be safe to open the festival to the public. Same principle. Just provide something that looks like proof. Even if you suddenly tell us that, I have no idea what would count. Really, it's not that hard. Unlike the worried Matsuo, Yamamoto said it casually. All you need to do is build a framework that prevents problems from happening. For example, our school's festival patrol is usually handled by teachers, right? So how about assigning festival committee members to rotate on patrol instead? That might actually work. Exactly. If the committee members handle patrol duty, the teacher's workload during the festival goes down. Plus, if you give the patrol members cameras, they can also double as PR staff. That's killing 3 birds with 1 stone. That's true. Especially from the teacher's point of view, less work during the festival is a clear benefit. So that just leaves the last one. Yeah, opening the festival means you risk having an unspecified number of strangers coming in. Yes. Honestly, that's the one I'm still struggling with. I see. It's because I still don't understand why you're so dead set on opening the festival to the public. You don't have to tell me. I'm just throwing out ideas here. Whether you use them or not is entirely up to you. Okay. Now then, as for how I'd handle the problem of strangers entering, Yamamoto took a deep breath. Give up on making it public. Section. After finishing his round of ideas, Yamamoto headed off to the restroom looking satisfied. Probably all that iced coffee he'd been guzzling finally caught up with him. And so, with Yamamoto gone from the table, I was now left alone with this so-called Matsuo. Back in high school, I used to walk the halls like I owned the place, but I never had any interaction with her whatsoever. That stuff I said earlier about being shy? Total nonsense. Still, I couldn't help feeling at least a little awkward. Hey, Matsuo-chan. That said, I'm not the type to stay silent just because things are a little uncomfortable. So I spoke up. Mind if I ask you a few things? After all, now that I had this rare chance to meet her, there were a few things I wanted to know. Like, how exactly did she meet Yamamoto? What kind of relationship did they have on the festival committee? There were other things too, but I didn't have time to dig deep. Most likely, Yamamoto would be back before I got all the answers I wanted. Do you like Yamamoto? So I cut straight to the point, glaring at her with a hint of hostility. Matsuo, or whatever her name is. No. She denied it. I don't like him, I love him. That wasn't a denial at all. I see. If it's for Yamamoto-senpai, I think I could do just about anything. Wow, that's some pretty intense emotion right there. What's so great about that guy anyway? I said it with a scoff, more as a warning than anything else. From the outside, I can see how he's easy to misunderstand. He always talks harshly. That leads to constant conflict with people around him. But if you push past that, he's devoted, kind, dependable, and cool. I see. I see. I see. Okay, not bad, seriously, geez. This girl's actually got some insight. Here's some free advice, pick someone else. But that's another matter altogether. I said it directly again. After all, her staying in love with Yamamoto wasn't exactly convenient for me. You say that, but you're not dating Yamamoto-senpai or anything, are you? Hey. Crap. That's right, I blushed and flat out denied it earlier when she asked. Considering we live together, but aren't dating, it wouldn't be weird for her to assume there are no feelings involved. If you're not even his girlfriend, then stay out of our business. W8. Also, what was that just now? Deliberately sitting next to Yamamoto-senpai like you were trying to show off. Are you flirting with him or something? Even though you claim you don't like him. That's. Actually, let me be clear. Please stop clinging to Yamamoto-senpai. I like him. I practically shouted it, and the whole family restaurant fell silent. A liar. Matsuo clearly didn't believe what I just said. In high school, you couldn't have made it more obvious how much you hated him. Yeah, she's right. Back in high school, I couldn't stand Yamamoto, so for me to suddenly fall for him now. Yeah, I get how that must seem super selfish. Especially from the point of view of a girl like her, who's been carrying a hidden crush on him since way back then. Of course she'd be mad. I know, okay. Wait, are you actually crying? My little tantrum had pushed Matsuo right to the edge and made her back off. I know I was awful to Yamamoto, I really do. But it's his fault too. He kept helping me again and again and again, so of course I fell for him. I can't stop anymore. Living together is hard. I don't even understand myself anymore. Sometimes I don't know what I might do next. There are moments when I can't even control my own emotions. When he's away at university, I get so lonely I can't take it. So I crawl into his futon and nap there, wrapped up in his scent. Is that so wrong? I think I might have said more than I should have in my panic. Or maybe I'm just imagining it. Do you really like senpai? I do, oh. It's hard to believe you're the same person they used to call the queen. Shut up. Then maybe you shouldn't have blushed like a tomato and denied dating him earlier. You're probably the kind of person who doesn't realize someone likes you unless they're super obvious about it, right? I knew that already. Isn't that a bit of an overkill? I mean, I've known for months now that if I don't make the first move, Yamamoto won't do anything. I've learned that from living with him. But to have someone just say it to my face like that, this is the first time I thought, wow, Hayashi-senpai's actually kind of funny. You know, for someone who looks all quiet and reserved, you really know how to say awful things, don't you? No, I think it's just that Hayashi-senpai's mental game is weak. She went and sliced me down again. Damn her. Well, I suppose it's true that I seem quiet. Up until about a year ago, I think I really was a shy, reserved person. Matsuo, or whatever her name was, lowered her head with a bitter smile. I didn't have any confidence. When everyone else looked like they were having fun, I kept wondering if it was okay for someone like me to even speak up. What if I ruined the mood? That sort of thing. But I failed because of that personality, and I swore I'd change. I never want to feel that helpless again, not ever. I didn't really understand what she was going on about, but I think I got a sense of her determination. But still, stop going after Yamamoto. Even if she's determined, I'm still going to say what I hate loud and clear, no matter how many times it takes. I can't, I love him. Well, I love him too. Too bad. Then you give up, Hayashi-senpai. No way, not happening. We glared daggers at each other. You didn't even like him until recently. That's because I changed my mind after he helped me. Why did you even hate Yamamoto-senpai so much in the first place? That's because... Why was it again? Oh, right. Back in our first year, he screwed up big time at the cultural festival. Yamamoto-senpai, at the festival. Matsuo or whatever blinked wide-eyed in surprise. Come to think of it, she hadn't even enrolled back then. That explains her blind devotion too. Given how much she trusts him, he must have been a total star at last year's festival. For someone like that to make a mistake, someone she practically worships, that's probably hard for her to accept. Actually, this might be my chance. You know how there's a campfire during the festival's after-party. Time to shatter that perfect image of Yamamoto she's got in her head. Well, when we were in our first year, the campfire got cancelled. And then I'll drag Yamamoto's reputation straight into the mud. The reason? Yamamoto forgot to order the wood. Wait, am I being too cruel to Yamamoto right now? So now you understand, right? He's not as perfect as you think he is. So please just give up on him already. Please, please, please. You're desperate, huh? Matsuo said dryly. That's what this is about. Huh? She knows about that? Back then, when we were in our first year, she should have still been in middle school. So how does she? It's only natural to want to know everything about the person you love. Everything. Wanting to know more about someone you like, I get that, sure. But everything? Is it just me, or did that single word carry a bottomless darkness with it? You're talking about the campfire incident from when you senpais were first years, right? What about it? That's the one thing I will never forgive. Ever. Oh, really? She was just openly gushing about Yamamoto a minute ago. She wasn't even directly involved, so why is she so mad about the missed firewood order for the campfire? I think Hayashi-senpai is misunderstanding something. Matsuo, or whatever, raised her voice slightly. The people I can't forgive are every single one of those who tried to drag Yamamoto-senpai down. Drag him down. So you're saying Yamamoto's failure to order the firewood during our first-year campfire wasn't just a screw-up, that he was set up by someone. Hey, if you know what really happened back then, tell me the truth. I leaned forward, practically pleading with Matsuo, or whatever her name was. And no, but she was stubborn as hell. At the very least, I'll never tell you, Hayashi-senpai. What? Why just me? Is she really that wary of me as a romantic rival? Okay, sure, I've been on full alert when it comes to her, but still. What are you two getting all noisy about? Right then, Yamamoto, completely clueless about what had just gone down, came back from the bathroom. You shouldn't be yelling in a family restaurant, you know. What a guy, always picking the worst possible timing. Well, they say when people argue a lot, it means they're close. No way in hell. Definitely not. I see. Yamamoto looked confused as he took a seat on the sofa. Chapter 6. The Queen on the Move. A few days had passed since I returned to Yamamoto's apartment after my father's 49th day memorial service. Starting with my breakup with that abusive man, and then saying goodbye to my father, I've come to think that maybe that memorial marked the end of a chapter in my life. That's how peaceful the past few days have been, something I couldn't have even imagined since moving to Tokyo. Yamamoto, lunch is almost ready. Got it. Just as I was transferring my perfectly golden fried chicken karaage to a plate and about to start dinner. Yamamoto's phone started vibrating. A call. Talk about bad timing. It's an unknown number. You're not gonna answer. I was surprised when Yamamoto just let the call ring and turned off the screen. Yeah, I usually don't answer calls from unknown numbers. Why not? Most of them are scams or shady stuff. But what if it's like a college friend inviting you to hang out? If they're a friend, they should already have my number right. Well, I wouldn't know. You barely even know how to use your smartphone in the first place. As frustrating as it is, he's not wrong. Anyway, there's no chance it's from a college friend. Why not? Because I don't have any friends at college. Yamamoto said it proudly, for some reason. That's not something to be proud of, you know. Watching him say it like it was some kind of achievement honestly made me worried for his future. I was just joking. It wasn't funny. WL might as well return the call now. Looking a bit flustered, Yamamoto stepped out onto the balcony and started calling back. Whether it was a friend or a scammer, it probably wouldn't take long. Thinking that, I went ahead and set the dinner table, waiting for him to finish. Matsuo. I heard Yamamoto's voice through the glass. Before I knew it, I was glaring at him through the sliding door. Why you? How the hell did you get my number? You looked it up. Creepy. Creepy. I knew it. That girl's definitely got some darkness hiding in her. So what do you want? When am I coming back there next? I don't know. I pressed up against the sliding glass door, eavesdropping on Yamamoto's call. All right, got it. I'm about to have dinner, so just email me, okay? Later. He hung up and opened the door. Why did you answer the call? I immediately snapped at him. You're the one who asked if I was gonna answer or not. Even with him saying that, my irritation didn't go away. We didn't exchange a single word during dinner. And I'd made the carriage so perfectly too. So, what did Matsuo want? I asked Yamamoto once I'd calmed down a bit. Something about the cultural festival. So, did she gather enough material to negotiate with the teacher? Seems like it. She compiled the documents and wants me to proofread them before she submits. Seriously, she trusts you way too much. It's infuriating. She really trusts him? If Yamamoto's got time to deal with a girl like her, couldn't he spare a little more attention for me? Not that I'd ever say that out loud. Not in a million years. And yes, I know full well that I'm the one at fault for chickening out and not saying anything, even though I want to. After dinner, Yamamoto opened his laptop and began reviewing the documents Matsuo had sent. He read through each page carefully, writing comments in red ink as he went. Before I realized it, the pages were completely covered in his red annotations. It was almost a little grotesque. Phew. Once he finished, Yamamoto stretched his body. Nice work. Oh, thanks. When I handed him the coffee I'd made earlier, he thanked me, and that made me happy. Hey, Hayashi, do you happen to have Kakagawa-sensei's number? Hi. Where did that come from? I just felt like hearing her voice again. I think she gave it to me before. Still a bit suspicious, I handed him my phone. Thanks. By the way, you really turned those materials blood red, Oh, well, I think they were mostly fine. Just a few nuances bothered me. Liar, it wasn't just the nuance. You told her to organize the charts as before-after, and to highlight important parts in different colors. I saw how detailed your comments were. She's probably going to look at that and think, what is with all this criticism? And get fed up, you know. You think so? Maybe I went overboard. Well, knowing Yamamoto, he probably couldn't help but point out everything that bothered him. But the fact that he still listens to other people's feedback like this, he really is a decent guy. Because if it were me, and someone pointed out flaws in something I thought I did well, I'd probably get defensive right away. Just like how I acted toward Dad. Oh, she replied. While I was sinking deeper into my own thoughts, Yamamoto got a message from Matsuo on his laptop. What'd she say? Thank you very much, apparently. Looks like I didn't get on her nerves too much. Try to be more careful next time, all right? Yeah, I will. Thank you very much, Matsuo got all that red ink back from him and still chose to say thanks. I wonder what she was really thinking when she typed that. Was it just being polite? Or did she truly feel grateful, deep down, and meant it from the heart? I get the feeling it was the latter. I've only had one real conversation with her. But even in that short time, I could tell just how much she admires Yamamoto. That alone tells me how incredible Yamamoto's performance at last year's cultural festival must have been. Yeah, last year's festival really was fun. Come to think of it, Akari was the chair of the festival committee last year. During the opening ceremony, there's always a greeting from the committee on stage, and at our school, it's customary for the chairperson to give that greeting. When Akari stood up on stage, she smiled and waved at all of us cheering her on. And from there, the festival just flew by like a dream. No major incidents. No missing firewood orders for the campfire. Before I knew it, we were all dancing around the roaring flames. Hey, Yamamoto. Never mind. I turned away from him. Back when we were first years, the campfire that was supposed to take place during the festival's after-party had been canceled. The reason? Yamamoto had forgotten to place the firewood order. I said I could never forgive anyone who tried to drag Yamamoto-senpai down. And now, because of what Matsuo said, I'm starting to think that maybe it wasn't Yamamoto's fault after all. No, actually, I don't think it's just what Matsuo said. Back when Yamamoto and I started living together, I remembered the campfire getting cancelled. And I remember thinking, that kind of boneheaded mistake is just too out of character for him. After seeing how devoted Yamamoto was in supporting me, it only made me believe even more that someone like him could never make such a careless mistake as forgetting to order the campfire wood. Why didn't I reconsider back then that maybe it wasn't actually his fault? Maybe it was because, at that time, I was still tangled up with that abusive guy and my mind was a mess. Or maybe I just didn't care anymore. That incident had already been settled. Whether the truth was different or not didn't matter. Whether Yamamoto was responsible or not didn't matter. There was no way to go back to being a first year and redo the past where the campfire got cancelled. Since it couldn't be redone, maybe I thought there was no point digging up something that was already over. But now, that's not how I feel. Now, the idea that Yamamoto was the one who messed up that day, it just doesn't sit right with me. So even if it's all in the past, I want to uncover the truth. I want to be one of the few people who truly understands Yamamoto. But that's easier said than done. Because Yamamoto himself, being who he is, would never bring it up again at this point. I've seen enough of his personality to know that. And as for Matsuo, the one person who might actually know what really happened, she's too stubborn to tell me anything. Which leaves me with only one person I can turn to. Hello, Akari. Yae, Meg. The next day, I waited until Yamamoto was out before calling Akari. As always, she picked up after just one ring. Actually, scratch that, she picked up before the first ring even finished. Her reflexes are seriously something else. Sorry, Akari. I just want to finish this call before Yamamoto gets back. Huh? Oh my gosh, did you two have a fight? You totally did, didn't you? No, it's not that sorry. This time it's actually serious. Not that all our other conversations have been jokes, I thought, but I kept my tone firm. Akari, perceptive as ever, caught the change in mood and quietly waited for me to continue. Hey, Akari, do you remember the cultural festival during our first year? Huh? Oh, yeah, I think so. Sorry if it doesn't sound serious when I say it like that, but I really mean it. All right, I'm listening. Do you remember how the campfire after the festival was cancelled that year? Haha, did it? I kinda forgot. Yeah, it did. I'd been secretly hoping Akari might remember the details, or even know the truth behind it, but I guess that was wishful thinking. Hey, Akari, who was your class's representative for the cultural festival committee that year? If I remembered right, each class picked one boy and one girl to serve on the committee. I think it was Mita-kun. We were in the same class again in our third year. Oh, him, huh. Mita, right, the loudmouth from the soccer club. The one who was always yelling even though he never said anything funny. I remembered him being more of a nuisance than anything else. Akari, do you still have Mita's contact info? Meg, what are you planning? I just want to ask about that time, the cultural festival during our first year. Even through the phone, I could tell Akari sounded a little surprised. Sorry, I don't have Mita-kun's number anymore. I see. But I can try asking around, okay? Huh. I'll let you know if I find it. You should try meeting him. Something warm bloomed in my chest. Since graduating high school, the person who's made me happiest has definitely been Yamamoto. But during high school, the person I was happiest to have met was, without a doubt, Akari. Thanks, Akari. No problem. Just hang tight, okay? Akari. Yeah, this time, I'll be the one to help you. Thanks. I could hear her smiling shyly through the phone. Chapter 7, The Queen Who Was Invited. The next afternoon, my phone started vibrating. You've got a notification. Emma. While I kept washing the dishes, I gave a quick reply to Yamamoto. After finishing lunch, he'd started cleaning, just like always. True to his word, he stuck to our 1 hour of cleaning a day rule. Today's target seemed to be the area around the TV. Before lunch, he'd run his finger across the top of the screen and made that dramatic, monk-like scowl of his, so I'd pretty much figured this would be the spot. The dust up there was so fine it was practically invisible. It probably only failed the inspection because of Yamamoto's overly keen, neat freak radar. Once I was done with the dishes, I wiped my hands and went back to the living room. How far are you planning to clean this time? I'm attacking the source of the dust. It's the only sure and efficient way. At his obsessive, almost pathological statement, I sighed and picked up my phone. The message was from Akari. I found Mita-kun's contact info. Below that was the actual number. Come to think of it, did Akari even get Mita's permission to share his number? Did you get permission from Mita? Yeah, through a friend. Good. He replied immediately, so I think he's got ulterior motives, lol, I see. I'll message him and ask if he's free to meet tomorrow. Yup, you got this. That reply surprised me a little. I just assumed Akari would come along with me for this. I mean, that's totally something she'd do. What do I do? Even if he's just an old classmate, meeting a guy alone who might have ulterior motives is kind of scary. And since this whole thing involves that clean freak idiot, there's no way I can ask him to come with me. Woohoo, vacuuming up dust is so fun. And there he goes again, shouting nonsense, completely oblivious to what I'm going through. Maybe I should just skip meeting Mita. I don't know what he might try, and after what I went through with that DV jerk, I'm still wary of men. Except for Yamamoto, of course. I don't really have the confidence to talk to someone like that face-to-face without flinching. Though, on second thought, maybe I'd be fine. After all, back in high school, I was feisty enough to earn the nickname Queen. Mita knows what I was like back then. If I glare at him once, he'll probably shrink back right away. All right, I'll be fine. I immediately sent Mita a message. Since it was a weekend, he replied insanely fast. After a short exchange, we agreed to meet tomorrow. Yamamoto. Yeah, I'm going out tomorrow. I see. Where to? Right, I'm hopeless with directions. Can I even go out alone? Even when I went home last time, I messed up the train transfer. That little incident made Yamamoto extra cautious about letting me go out on my own. If I told him I was meeting up with Mita tomorrow, how would he react? Probably something like, who the hell's that guy? Actually, would he even remember what our old classmates looked like? Hey Ashi. Aw crap, what do I do? After overthinking it, I lost all motivation to tell him who I was meeting or why. Maybe I should just say I'm going to meet someone. No, that's even worse. If I told him I was going to see some guy and it made things awkward, I'd be mortified. Yeah. I opened my mouth heavily. Job hunting. For once, I felt like I'd managed to tell a decent lie. I see. Good luck. And then, Yamamoto encouraged me. Why is it that being cheered on by someone you like can make your chest feel so warm? But the moment I felt that way, I realized I had just lied to someone I liked and sank into a small pit of guilt. The next day, dinner's in the fridge, don't take long baths. When you use the washing machine, make sure to use the leftover bathwater. And only 1 hour of cleaning a day. You're like my mom. After lunch, I dashed out of the house. My meeting with Mita was at a major cafe chain inside Shinjuku Station. Of course, I had no intention of hanging around there for long. As soon as I got the information I wanted, I planned to leave. But since I didn't know how long things might take, I made sure to prepare dinner for Yamamoto just in case. Hey Ashii. At the meeting spot, 5 minutes before our scheduled time, I stepped into the cafe, only to hear a loud voice. One overly cheerful guy waving at me, Mita. And just like that, I was already a little exasperated. Shouting inside a cafe without caring about the people around, what a thoughtless guy. Still, I'd done similar things myself back in high school, so I didn't feel like scolding him. Long time no see. Yeah, long time. A simple greeting. But honestly, my relationship with Mita back in high school didn't even warrant that level of greeting. We'd barely interacted. It's supposed to be fall, but it's still so damn hot. Let's grab something to drink already. I worked up a sweat just getting here. I need something cold. Sure, let's do that. I got it, Hayashi. You take a seat. What do you want? It's fine, I'll go too. Come on, just let the guy pay for you. Nope, that's a deal breaker. That kind of smug, self-satisfied attitude rubs me the wrong way. Why does it bother me so much? Probably because it reminds me of that DV guy. I said let's go, come on. Yeah. My stubborn refusal quickly deflated Mita, who followed behind me with his tail between his legs. Now that I looked closer, Mita had dyed his hair brown and was dressed kind of flashy. You still playing soccer? Now I quit. You did? Yeah, I mean, the training was rough, and I only started it because my parents forced me into it. So I decided to quit once I got into college. Don't go doing things that betray your parents' expectations. Mita fell silent again. Not that I have any right to say that. Honestly, my rebellious phase was probably way worse than his ever was. Sorry, forget I said that. Yeah. The spark he'd had when we first met again was already gone. We each ordered a coffee at the counter and returned to our seats. Watching him pour in syrup and milk, I figured it was time to get to the real reason I came. Hey, you were on the Cultural Festival Planning Committee in our first year, right? Oh yeah, I was. The thing is, I've been wondering about something from that festival. That's why I wanted to meet you. Oh, I see. Yeah. I'll just get straight to the point. Was there some kind of issue or problem that happened during that cultural festival planning? Well, let me think. Mita crossed his arms and looked up at the ceiling. Even though the cancellation of the after-festival celebration had been a pretty big deal, there was no sign he was going to bring it up. What I really want to ask about is the after-festival party. The after-festival? Yeah. That year it got canceled, remember? Oh, now that you mention it. He was on the Cultural Festival Planning Committee, right? He was one of the people responsible. So what's with this attitude? It's like he doesn't think it has anything to do with him. What was this guy even doing back then? I reminded myself I didn't have the right to judge him and forced myself to calm down. Pretty sure it was Yamamoto's fault. The after-festival got canceled. Oh, really? Yeah, I mean, you've heard the story, haven't you? The rumor that he forgot to order the wood so we couldn't have the campfire. You're talking about it like it had nothing to do with you. I sighed in exasperation. You were on the committee too, and that's all you know. Just some rumor. Don't you know anything more concrete? How would I know? Then how can you be so sure it was Yamamoto's fault? Mita trailed off. Just like I thought, he didn't have anything to back it up. Look, it just sounds like something he'd do. Every time I showed up to committee stuff, he was always acting all high and mighty, criticizing the senpais. Every time. The thing that stuck out most wasn't even Yamamoto arguing with the senpais. It was how Mita casually admitted he only sometimes showed up for committee work. You only went to help with the festival sometimes. Yeah, I mean, it's not like I was there every day. I had club activities and stuff. I was busy. Wasn't club activity banned during the prep period for the festival? I frowned. It wasn't just me. There were other people who skipped the committee to go to their clubs. So what, he thinks that makes it okay. Anyway, Yamamoto was the kind of guy who'd kill the mood by talking back to the senpais, while the rest of us were just trying to have fun. This guy. So when the rumor started going around that Yamamoto forgot to order the wood, everyone just figured he did it on purpose. Like, out of spite, because things weren't going his way. How shallow can you be? I see. I understood Mita's side of the story just fine. Well, I'm heading out. Hi. Thanks for today, you told me something valuable. It really helped. Hey. I didn't even acknowledge Mita's voice as I left the cafe behind. Meeting Mita again and hearing what he had to say about how the committee operated back then made things clear. That whole mess about the wood for the campfire not being ordered, Yamamoto wasn't to blame at all. Actually, that wasn't even the real issue. The real problem was the committee itself, starting with Mita. Their low motivation, their lack of ownership. And when something finally went wrong, they had the nerve to act like it wasn't their responsibility. Of course, a ridiculous human error like that could happen. That kind of half-baked, irresponsible system basically guaranteed it. Yamamoto, who stood up to the lazy senpais, was probably the only one taking the job seriously. And because he was trying to handle everything by himself, when a mistake finally happened, all the blame landed on him. The people who slacked off got off scot-free, while the one who took it seriously got punished. I felt a tight knot twist deep in my gut. I started walking faster without meaning to, trying to shake off the discomfort. I was angry. I knew I didn't have the right to be angry at those people, not when I was the one who had blamed Yamamoto first. At first, I tried to hold back my anger with reason, but I couldn't anymore. I'd reached my limit. I can't forgive them. There's no way I could ever forgive them. Wasn't the Cultural Festival Committee supposed to function as a team? Yamamoto was just a single member, right? So then, why was he the only one made to take all the blame for that mistake? Why didn't anyone question the negligence of the senpais and teachers who were supposed to be in charge? Why is everyone able to brush it off like it's just something that happened a long time ago? Still, maybe I'm misunderstanding something. It's obvious that Mita was slacking off on his committee duties. But assuming that everyone else was just as unmotivated, that's nothing more than my own speculation. Maybe I just want to believe that Yamamoto was the only one truly giving his all to the committee work. Either way, I need to get in touch with someone who actually knows the truth about what happened back then. Matsuo told me not to tell anyone about her, and Akari, who I usually rely on, doesn't know anything either. Should I just ask Yamamoto directly? No, I can't. I don't want to hurt him any more than I already have because of this. Yamamoto's strong, so maybe the whole Mistwood order thing didn't even faze him. But even so, I don't want him to have to remember it. Then who can I ask? I'm home. While I was lost in thought, I'd already made it back to the house. Him? Oh, you're back early. Looked like Yamamoto was just about to have dinner. What about you? Have you eats? Hayashi. Hi. Sorry, I haven't eaten anything. I see, wanna eat together then? Yeah. Prompted by Yamamoto, I sat down and ate with him. By the way, thanks. Yamamoto suddenly thanked me out of nowhere. For what? I couldn't think of any reason. For giving me Kakagawa-sensei's contact info. Oh. Now that he mentioned it, I had given him her number. He didn't know how to add contacts on his phone and just told me to do it for him, so I'd completely forgot. Wait a second. Kakagawa-sensei, nicknamed Kako-chan, started working at our high school even before we enrolled. That means she'd definitely know about the cultural festival from our first year. Unlike useless Mita, Kako-chan's a teacher who was responsible for guiding students. She might be able to give me real information. Hey, Yamamoto. I'm going out again tomorrow. Oh, okay. Yamamoto scratched his head awkwardly. Well, don't overdo it with the job hunting. Right, I told Yamamoto I was going out job hunting today, hadn't I? Section. The next day, I called Kako-chan, my old homeroom teacher from high school. After a few rings, she picked up. Hello, this is Kakagawa speaking. Hi, sensei, it's me, Hayashi Megumi. Meg, did you change your number? Yeah, a lot's happened. Really? Wow, it's been forever, hasn't it? What's up? I'm planning to visit my hometown soon, and I thought it'd be nice to see your face again, Kako-chan. Oh, really? Yeah, so would you be up for meeting at a cafe or something? It's been about a year. Kako-chan was more than happy to agree to my request. We made plans to meet at a local cafe the following Saturday. All right, I'm off. That Saturday, I swayed along on the train, holding the travel itinerary Yamamoto had made for me the other day. Just as expected, I did have a small mishap where I got on the wrong train, but I'd planned with plenty of time to spare, so I still managed to arrive just on time. Excuse me, I'm meeting someone. Meg, over here. Oh, long time no see, Kako-chan. I breathed a sigh of relief as I successfully met up with Kako-chan at the cafe and took a seat. What'll you have, Meg? I guess I'll go with tea. Got it, I'm treating today. You don't have to. It's fine, it's fine. Kako-chan had been our homeroom teacher back in our third year of high school. She's 34 this year, with the kind of lovely smile that probably made her super popular before she got married. Back then, Akari and Aiken and I would get all excited talking about it. Want some sweets too? This one looks really good. I'm fine, thanks. Yeah, then maybe I'll skip it too. Now that I think about it, I'm supposed to be on a diet. Supposed to, pretty sure diets don't work that way. Soon after, a server brought our tea and coffee to the table. It really has been a while. But it's only been, 6 months or so since you all graduated. Yeah, really. Just seeing you again, Kako-chan, made me feel so nostalgic I almost cried. Now. Don't cry so much, your makeup runs like at the graduation ceremony. Hey, I told you to forget about that. I pouted a little, sulking. Kako-chan just laughed, looking like she was really enjoying herself. But seriously, why did you disappear for so long? I was actually kind of worried about you, you know? Though, I figured you'd be handling things just fine, you're Meg, after all. I hesitated for a moment at her question. How much should I really tell Kako-chan? Right now, only 3 people know what's really been going on with me. My mom, Akari, and Yamamoto. I don't want to go into detail with anyone who isn't family or someone I deeply trust. Meg. To me, Kako-chan was someone incredibly important. Back in high school, when I was in a full-on rebellious phase and wanted nothing to do with my family, she treated me with the kind of kindness and warmth that felt like she was filling in for them. She was, without question, someone I could trust. I really am blessed to have people like her in my life. I moved to Tokyo, and I got into a relationship. Oh, I see. Well, you are adorable. Of course, someone would fall for you. And then, we moved in together. I see, congratulations. But we broke up. He was abusive. The reason I lost touch with you, Kako-chan, was because he broke my phone. I rubbed my arm, where bruises had been not long ago. I thought I was okay now. Thanks to Yamamoto, I really believed I was starting to get past the trauma of being abused. But right now, I could barely string the words together. I couldn't bring myself to look Kako-chan in the face. I didn't want her to see the expression I knew was dangerously close to crying. I dropped out of college too. It was a complete mess. Back then, I mean. But you know, someone saved me. Someone I'd once hated more than anyone else in high school. And thanks to that person, I finally get to see you again, Kako-chan. I'm glad to hear that. Kako-chan spoke with a gentle expression. Is this person you're talking about someone I know too? Not sure. That's a pretty vague answer. But since you're not denying it, does that mean they were one of our students? Well, yeah, we just happened to run into each other. I remembered Yamamoto's sleepy-looking face as he worked a late-night shift at the convenience store. He figured out my situation and let me stay at his place. But man, it was rough at first. He's so stubborn and always arguing with weird logic. Seriously, the way he talks in roundabout ways pissed me off so many times. We butted heads over and over. So much so that I worried the neighbor in the next apartment might complain. Well, I say butted heads, but really, I was just the one picking fights over everything. And that guy, he just watched me throw my tantrums with this exasperated look on his face. Back in high school, I really didn't like him. But then, once I'd calmed down, he'd hand me ice cream he'd apparently gone out and bought while I wasn't paying attention. But now, I'm truly grateful. Trying to cheer me up with ice cream, what a clumsy guy. Still, the ice cream he gave me tasted just a little bit sweeter than usual. And the reason why it tasted sweeter. It was probably because of love, but I couldn't tell Kako-chan about these feelings yet. It was too embarrassing. Hey, Meg. Kako-chan continued, her face looking unsure. If I'm wrong, I'm really sorry. But the person who took you in, could it be, maybe it's just my imagination, but... Kako-chan. Was it Yamamoto-kun? I was honestly surprised that she remembered Yamamoto at all. The fact that she figured out it was him from just that short conversation surprised me. And the fact that she thought of him first when imagining someone who'd help me. No, maybe it wasn't so surprising that Kako-chan thought so highly of Yamamoto. Back in high school, he always got great scores on tests, and his behavior in class was serious. To be fair, the other teachers didn't like him much, probably because his prickly personality showed in his attitude. That's just how that guy is. I can't believe you guessed. I decided to admit my surprise. I thought the Kako-chan I knew would be pleased by that, but her face didn't really brighten up. I see, I'm glad that Yamamoto-kun was able to help you. Kako-chan. Then, could it be that when Yamamoto-kun contacted me the other day, it was because of you? Yeah. Well, if you mean that I gave him your number, then yeah, I guess. I see. Kako-chan lowered her gaze for a moment before letting out a wry smile. I guess this is my punishment. Punishment? Hearing Yamamoto-kun's voice after so long brought back many memories. What kind of memories? I really treated him poorly. Kako-chan murmured, her voice full of regret. You mean what happened at the school festival 3 years ago? There was only one thing that came to mind when thinking about what Kako-chan might feel guilty about regarding Yamamoto. At my words, Kako-chan's eyes widened. Wait, was I wrong? No, you're right. It looked like something had finally clicked for her. So that's what it is. You like Yamamoto-kun, don't you? I don't like him. I mean, sure. Sure I do, Kako-chan. I do like him okay. To put it simply, that's how much I like him. Lately, whenever he's not around, I've been hugging his pillow the whole time. I've been putting my scent on it. And while I'm at it, I've been sniffing his scent too. Recently, I realized something. Napping while hugging Yamamoto's pillow is absolute bliss. Ahaha. Sorry, it's just kind of funny, you know? Meg, who was such a self-proclaimed and publicly acknowledged queen back in high school, turning into this adorable love-struck maiden. W8, you were listening to that. Of course I was. Honestly, you're still as bad at being honest as ever. I gave Kako-chan my best death glare, but as always, it had absolutely no effect on her. She's older, wiser, and completely immune to my glares. Meg, can you tell me something first? Just how much do you know about the school festival from 3 years ago? After a pause, Kako-chan looked at me with a serious expression and asked, Not much, really. I just talked to one person who was involved at the time. I gave a disclaimer before sharing everything I had learned so far. That the school's closing festival 3 years ago was rumored to have been cancelled because of Yamamoto. That the reason given was that it was Yamamoto's way of lashing out at the festival committee. But that it didn't make sense for someone like Yamamoto, who was just a first-year committee member, to be held responsible for failing to order the wood. That, most likely, the other committee members weren't that motivated in the first place. But all of this was still just speculation, and I was looking for someone who actually knew the truth. Kako-chan, please tell me. Do you know what really happened with the missing wood order back then? After hearing my long explanation, Kako-chan looked hesitant for a moment. But then, as if making up her mind, she began to speak. I do. I see. I felt half relieved that I'd finally found someone who knew the truth, and half dread, knowing I was probably about to hear something awful. First, yeah. Let's clear up the most important thing. Kako-chan continued. Meg, you're right, that incident wasn't Yamamoto-kun's fault at all. Hearing that made me feel an overwhelming wave of relief. It felt like all the tension in my body just melted away, and I nearly collapsed off the sofa. You figured it out pretty well. You remember Mita, right? I talked to him. He gave me the most half-baked excuse I've ever heard. I see. He was so shameless, I almost punched him. You're not supposed to punch people. Yeah. I know. Back then, I didn't take Yamamoto's side at all. In fact, I contributed to the false impression that he was the one responsible. Someone like me has no right to condemn those guys. Let's get back to the story. Yeah. Well, it's pretty much like you said earlier. And honestly, it's not a very interesting story. I figured. Yeah, still want to hear it. Whether I wanted to or not, honestly, I was torn. Even if I found out the truth now, I doubt Yamamoto would be happy about it. I want to hear it. But after coming this far, running away without listening felt like the worst thing I could do. Tell me, Kako-chan. As someone who once said horrible things to Yamamoto, and as someone who now likes him, wanting to know everything about the person you like is only natural. Just like that certain someone once said, I wanted to know everything Yamamoto had been through. In the end, it was all due to the school's incompetence. Kako-chan spoke in a somewhat detached tone. The schools. You mentioned it earlier, didn't you? That the festival committee operated as an organization. And when a mistake happens within an organization, it's not right to blame just one person. A member's mistake is the chairperson's mistake, and the chairperson's mistake is the teacher's responsibility. And the teacher's mistake is the school's mistake. Well, yeah, that's how it should work. It was an old, toxic tradition. A tradition. At our school, the supervising teacher for the festival committee was always, by tradition, the youngest teacher on staff. I see. Yeah. Of course, even teachers who weren't officially in charge did their best to support the festival committee's work. But the timing was bad. Timing. The teacher in charge of the cultural festival committee, the year you enrolled, was Sakegawa-sensei. I remember Sakegawa-sensei. He taught Japanese history. He was young, soft-spoken, and didn't project much energy. You could probably say he had an introverted personality. Sakegawa-sensei came on board after the pandemic, and he'd never been in charge of the festival committee before. You're kidding. The post-pandemic festival must have already been a whole different beast compared to how it was before. Giving someone like that full responsibility from the start was way too much. That year's festival prep was just delay after delay. Ugh. You could clearly see Sakegawa-sensei getting more and more overwhelmed every day, but none of the other teachers stepped in to help. Why not? Because it was a hassle, probably. To put it bluntly, the other day, when that Matsuo girl asked Yamamoto how to open up the festival to the public, He went on criticizing how the teachers always avoid trouble. Maybe his distrust started back during the festival in his first year. The timing's really bad for our school's festival. It's right before midterms, remember? So the teachers are already swamped with writing exams and other tasks. Even so, yeah, I know. When I came back from maternity leave that year, I was shocked by how disorganized everything was. I tried to help out where I could, but it was like throwing water on a wildfire. And that's why human error happened. The visible mistake was the wood order for the campfire, but honestly, there were slip-ups all over the place. Really? Yeah. Hey, then why didn't the festival committee chair do anything about it? I asked. Even if the teacher in charge was unreliable, if the committee chair had been competent, things wouldn't have fallen apart so badly, right? And sure, Yamamoto ended up taking the blame this time, but under normal circumstances, the one who gets criticized when something goes wrong is the chair, isn't it? You're right. Normally, the chair would take full responsibility and do their best not to mess things up. Then why? Because they didn't feel like they had to take responsibility. What? The thing is, that year's committee chair barely did any actual work. What does that mean? Meg, didn't you feel anything off when you talked to Mita-kun? Didn't he say that whenever he showed up to help with the committee, Yamamoto-kun was always getting into arguments with the senpais? Yeah, he did. Doesn't that strike you as odd? What do you mean? If Mita-kun's right, and Yamamoto-kun was always clashing with the senpais every time he came in, that means Yamamoto noticed from the very beginning that things were falling behind, doesn't it? Oh, it wasn't just Yamamoto-kun. The senpais he argued with knew things were behind, too, and yet they did nothing. Why? Because Yamamoto-kun was there. Because Yamamoto was there, Meg, you're still misunderstanding something. What do you mean? The job Yamamoto-kun was originally assigned on the festival committee wasn't even related to ordering supplies. Then, when I blamed him for the missing campfire wood order, and he apologized to me when he bowed his head like it really was his fault, if it wasn't even part of his job in the first place, then the only reason he took the fall was to cover for someone else. Or maybe, no, it had to be that. Back then, Yamamoto-kun was handling everything, on-site coordination, scheduling, liaising with club activities, pretty much the entire cultural festival committee's workload. All by himself. What the hell, so I was right. That's why the festival committee chair never felt any real urgency, even when things were falling behind. They knew that if something went wrong, they could just pin it all on Yamamoto-kun. Basically, they were in a position where they could shrug and say, Yamamoto, didn't you say you'd handle that too? So they didn't show any passion for the work, they slacked off, and once school ended for the day, they just went straight home. That's how they spent the entire prep period. He took over for the figurehead of a committee chair. No, not just the chair. While being dragged down by Mita and the rest of the unmotivated committee members, he tackled everything on his own. With time running out, watching the schedule slip further each day, he must have held back his frustration and calmly, methodically kept working, even though the delays were never recovered. In the end, everything had to be thrown together in a rush. He even raised his voice to his teammates sometimes, saying that if things continued this way, the festival would fail, that there'd be serious trouble on the day of the event. But no one listened to his warnings. Not even the committee chair took him seriously. No one really cared about preparing for the festival in the first place. And then, the mistake finally happened. This is a message from the Cultural Festival Committee. I wonder where Yamamoto was when he heard that announcement. This year's closing ceremony has been canceled. I repeat, this year's closing ceremony has been canceled. Even though he worked so hard, even though he covered for so many people, he should have been recognized as the one who put in the most effort. But not a single person stood up to defend him. See you, Kako-chan. Yeah. Reach out anytime, okay. After chatting a while longer at the cafe, Kako-chan walked me to the station, and we parted ways. All right, now comes the hard part. Can I make it home this time without getting on the wrong train? I passed through the ticket gate and sat on a bench at the platform, waiting for the next train. As I idly scrolled through my phone, the bench creaked beside me. Someone had just sat down. Did you find out? Well, I leapt up in surprise, Sitting next to me was, unbelievably, that Matsuo girl. Why you? What are you doing here? I can read you like a book. It's obvious what someone like you would do, Hayashi-senpai. Okay, even if I give her the benefit of the doubt and assume she predicted I'd come back to my hometown to dig into the festival stuff, there's no way she could have known I'd be sitting here right now. Yeah, this girl's definitely got a screw loose. So, did you figure it out? Instead of answering my question, she cut straight to the point. Yeah, pretty much. I see. A brief silence. Then, do you understand now why I didn't tell you the truth back then? No. Ugh. But I can guess. Maybe it just pissed you off, didn't it? That's right. Matsuo's voice suddenly flared with emotion. That's right. Even though you were one of the people, maybe not directly, but still, who ended up making it look like Yamamoto-senpai was the one who messed up. She must have been holding that in for a long time, wanting to shout it at me. You didn't even try to understand what he was going through. You just decided to hate him, unilaterally. So why are you the one living with him now? Why is he the one helping you? Before I knew it, Matsuo-san was crying. Yeah, I can't say a word against that. Ugh. I've been thinking too, about what I did to him back in our first year. After doing something that awful, do I even have the right to keep living under his roof? Don't say something so stupid. Yeah, you're right. Of course I don't. Stay with him. Huh. If you walk out on him now, it'll just make him sad. All his efforts, everything he's done, will be for nothing. I won't forgive you if you do something that's selfish again. Seeing Matsuo spit out her words like that, I couldn't help but let out a dry laugh. Is that really okay? What is? I like him, you know. So what? I might take him away from you. That's impossible. You're a total chicken, Hayashi-senpai. Hey, maybe I'll change all of a sudden. That's fine. What? For now, it's fine. For now, huh? In the end, I'll be the one standing by his side. I see. Somehow, it felt like a weight had lifted off my chest. Matsuo wasn't one of the people actually responsible for the missing wood order back in our first year. But because she admired Yamamoto more than anyone else, being forgiven by her felt like salvation. I think I'll apologize to him. But I knew I had to make things right. Yeah. Even if everyone else has forgotten what happened, I still owe him an apology. At least I should be the one to say it. No, actually, I changed my mind. Huh? Because I don't think that's what he wants. The words he wants to hear aren't apologies. Not for failing to understand his situation. Not for the cruel things I said without knowing the truth. Not for forcing him to remember something painful from the past. Because he's not the kind of person who gets crushed by something like that. He knows that even people who seem perfect make mistakes, because we're all human. And he knows that what matters is to never repeat them. He's not someone who would ever make the same mistake twice. What I should say to him isn't sorry, it's thank you. Thank you for all the effort you put in for our memories. Thank you for being considerate enough not to corner me, even after I wrongly accused you. And most of all, thank you for turning your own failure into something that saved me. I'll tell him all of it, all my gratitude, to him. To Yamamoto. HMPH, I don't get it at all, you're just convincing yourself. Sorry. Whatever. Matsuo turned away, sulking. Do you know why I came here today? To yell at me. That's not it. Why would I yell at you, Hayashi-senpai? Well, maybe because you like me. What? Matsuo's face turned bright red. I don't like you at all, Hayashi-senpai, not even a little. Good. Sounds like being liked by you would be a lot of trouble, so please keep it that way. Ugh. Watching her flustered reaction, I flashed a smug grin. Honestly, I can be a bit mean sometimes. Fine then. I didn't come here to see you anyway. I came to give you a message to pass along to senpai. Oh, a message? About the cultural festival. I tilted my head slightly. The general admission request, of course. Oh, now that she mentioned it, there was something like that, huh? I gave a half-hearted reply. Don't tell me you forgot, Hayashi-senpai. Oh, of course not. I totally remembered. Your eyes are darting all over the place. You're a terrible liar, you know that. Matsuo sighed in exasperation. Whatever, just tell senpai this for me. We managed to reach an agreement with the school. Oh, so that means. Yes. Matsuo nodded happily. We were finally able to get approval from the school to open the cultural festival to parents and alumni. I remembered Yamamoto's advice, from the family restaurant that day. Section. Back at the family restaurant, Matsuo had asked Yamamoto how she could convince the school to allow public access to the cultural festival. She had been negotiating with school officials to bring back general admission, the way it was before the pandemic, but until her unexpected reunion with Yamamoto, her efforts weren't going well. Talks with the school had been stuck in a stalemate. After hearing her out, Yamamoto pointed out that there were 3 main reasons why the teachers were hesitant about reopening the festival to the public. The first, allowing general access increases the risk of attracting an unspecified number of people. The second, there's no solid evidence showing it's safe to resume general admission. And the third, the teachers have no benefit in agreeing to it in the first place. Yamamoto told her that unless all 3 concerns were addressed, the faculty would never approve the request. He then shared his own thoughts on how to clear those hurdles. As I watched their exchange from a third-party perspective over diner food, I found myself genuinely impressed by how sharp Yamamoto was. And then, just when I thought he was being insightful, give up on the general admission. Yamamoto said something that made me want to take all that praise back. I had no idea what he meant. Give up on general admission? After all that one sentence felt like it undermined everything he'd just said. Yamamoto, come on, be serious. At first, I thought he was joking. Maybe after all the serious talk, he just felt like tossing out a joke, something like that. Don't be ridiculous, I am being serious. But Yamamoto's face didn't lose its serious look for a second. Honestly, with that sharp, focused expression, he looked kind of cool. But I still didn't get why he was saying something like, give up. I'm sorry, senpai. I know you're not joking, but I don't really understand what you mean either. Matsuo said carefully, like she didn't want to upset her favorite upperclassman. It's simple. The truth is, there are serious risks involved with allowing public access to the cultural festival. So I'm saying we should give up on it. As Yamamoto had explained earlier, letting just anyone into a school campus these days is extremely risky, especially now when schools are more alert than ever about suspicious individuals. Even if it was acceptable before the pandemic, it might not be appropriate anymore. Still, compared to how supportive and helpful he'd been toward Matsuo earlier, this conclusion felt too cold and final. But even so, I can't give up now, not after everything. Even though Yamamoto had just told her it was unrealistic, Matsuo refused to back down. Well, I get the urge not to give up halfway. Yamamoto shrugged. Seeing things through to the end is important. Sometimes sticking to your stubbornness is exactly what leads to success. But time is ticking. With the festival fast approaching, if you just keep making the same demands without changing your approach, it's easy to imagine how this all ends, with nothing to show for it. That's not. Matsuo, look at the time you've got left before the festival. It's time to reconsider, change your approach. For a while, Matsuo looked deep in thought, but with her beloved senpai saying this much, even she couldn't keep holding on. She finally seemed to accept it. Okay. Matsuo visibly slumped. I'm glad that you're someone who can listen to reason. Still, it's honestly really frustrating. She mumbled in a small voice. Up until today, I've been working so hard with the goal of getting the festival open to the public. Even I, her so-called rival in love, couldn't help but feel bad seeing her so defeated. I became festival committee chair because I wanted to make that happen. For just a moment, I sympathized with her. I really wanted to open the festival to the public for the sake of everyone who believed in me and followed my lead. But maybe this was for the best. Matsuo, there's still plenty left to do before the festival. You don't have time to mope. Maybe the one thing that saved her was that it had been Yamamoto who put an end to it all. And besides, I said to give up on opening the festival to the public. But I never said you had to hold the same old, closed-off festival with only current students like every year. What? That moment, Matsuo and I were completely in sync. Like I said before, opening the festival to the public comes with a lot of risks. Schools are more cautious now, and teachers really hate the idea of letting in people whose identities aren't clear. So yeah, general admission is out. Without paying any mind to our stunned expressions, Yamamoto continued. But if it's people whose identities are known, then the school might still be willing to allow it. Meaning? Matsuo, forget about general admission. Instead, focus on making the festival open to parents and alumni. Ugh. Parents and alumni are basically insiders. It's a much lower hurdle than true general access. Duh. It might not be the perfect outcome you hoped for, but doesn't it still count as, say, an 80-point win? Senpai. Matsuo finally opened her mouth. That was misleading. She sounded a little pissed. Well, yeah, even I had to agree. Yamamoto's way of saying things really did leave something to be desired. If he had a backup plan, there was no need to crush her like that first. There are better ways to deliver the message than slicing someone's hopes in half before handing them a compromise. Then again, maybe Yamamoto was testing her. Maybe he gave her that harsh, give-up line just to see how serious she was. Sorry, I kind of got carried away and started enjoying myself. Yamamoto apologized honestly, for a surprisingly awful reason. Geez, you can only mess around like that with me, okay? Oi. Stop flirting in front of me. Don't use that scary voice, Hayashi-senpai. Trying to act all sweet, huh? But I wasn't about to let that slide. With a single glare and a sharp tone, I instantly shattered the playful mood. Well now, I would like to ask something. Why do you want to open the festival to parents and alumni? At Yamamoto's question, Matsuo tilted her head adorably. I asked you a few times earlier, didn't I? Why you were so intent on opening the festival to the public. I see. If Matsuo had clearly told Yamamoto why she cared about it so much, maybe he would have offered the alternative sooner without being so roundabout. But because she dodged the question, he decided to tease her a little. Lowest of the low. Don't glare at me, Hayashi. Yamamoto wouldn't even meet my eyes. So, is opening the festival to parents and alumni still not good enough for you? And no. Matsuo lowered her gaze and shook her head slightly. I'm satisfied. Then I'm glad to hear it. Yamamoto let out a relieved sigh. Right now, he looked a little like he did back when I asked him to come with me to the police after I escaped that abusive guy. Calm, steady, reassuring. So, can I give you one more job for the festival committee? What do you mean? Even if we're opening the festival to parents and alumni, without a proper check-in station, it's no different than letting in complete strangers, right? You mean we should set up ID check booths at the school gates? Exactly. But even with those in place, I think we'll still need some kind of buffer to prevent trouble. Trouble prevention. Parents are going to come just to see what their kids' school life is like. Alumni will come to see how the place they once studied in has changed. They're coming with light hearts. But if they get hit with strict ID checks the moment they arrive, some might take it the wrong way. It could lead to complaints or even cause a scene. That made sense. It's like if someone suddenly introduced baggage checks on a train you've always ridden without them. Even if it's for safety, some people are bound to complain about the hassle. I had to admit, Yamamoto's point had merit. So we need a way to ease that potential tension. Right. So what if we frame the ID check as part of a survey? But surveys are voluntary, right? That's why we give them something in exchange, something people will actually want. Then most will probably go along with it. Something they'll want. Like a shopping voucher they can use at the various class booths, maybe. Oh right, our school's festival had that system, where the top 3 classes based on sales got awarded at the end. It's not a bad idea, but I think the bookkeeping would be a nightmare. Matsuo didn't seem too keen on it. Yeah, I agree. I mean, all the money people earn from their booths ends up going to the class after party, right? If you tell them part of that's being turned into some weird voucher, they'll probably just get mad. Now that I think about it, I don't think I ever saw Yamamoto at a single festival after party during our 3 years in school. Then how about this? What if we used a popularity vote ballot? A popularity vote? Yeah, last year's ranking was based on booth sales, right? So this time we add a second category, votes from visitors. At the festival, anyone who fills out the survey gets a ballot, and they drop it off at voting boxes around campus. Then we tally the votes before the closing ceremony. That actually sounds kind of fun. I couldn't help but say it. I once saw a video about how Japanese people love rankings, like the sumo wrestler rankings, that kind of thing. If parents had a ballot like that, they might feel more motivated to vote and help their kids' class win. Still, it's voluntary, so there will be people who refuse, right? Maybe. But I think most people would go along with it. Why? Because everyone who visits already has a connection to this school, Either their kid or someone they know, right? Oh, well, yeah. So they'll be thinking, I better behave myself. I don't want to cause trouble for someone I care about. Yeah, I know my parents wouldn't do anything out of line. Mine wouldn't either. My dad could be difficult, but he wouldn't start something that might make me stand out in a bad way at school. Plus, the students will be pushing hard for their class to win. They'll be begging every visitor to fill out those ballots. So if all it takes is answering a simple survey, most people will probably go along with it. A positive feedback loop. Well, it's all just theory anyway, Yamamoto said, sounding a little unsure. If we actually try it, there's no precedent for this, so I wouldn't be surprised if all sorts of problems come up. But if we present all these ideas to the teachers as part of a broader risk management plan, maybe they'll find it interesting. Yes. Matsuo nodded slowly, clearly moved. Deep down, she was probably thinking, I was right to rely on Yamamoto. Well, even I, who thought Matsuo's goal was nearly impossible at first, was starting to believe it might actually come true. Yamamoto really is amazing. Senpai, thank you so much. And yet, one doubt still lingered in the back of my mind. It wasn't about Yamamoto's ideas for opening the festival to parents and alumni. No, it was something that would probably fade from memory if I didn't dwell on it. Why was Matsuo so determined to push for public access to the festival in the first place? Section. I'm glad it worked out. All that effort paid off, huh? Now that Matsuo had successfully gotten the school's approval to open the festival to parents and alumni, I offered her a word of congratulations. Getting praise from you doesn't make me happy at all. Despite her words, her cheeks turned just a little pink. She looked like she was fighting hard to keep the corners of her mouth from rising. Huh. She's kind of easy to read, isn't she? Anyway, please tell Senpai this for me. I really hope he'll come to the festival. You mean Yamamoto? Yes, I really want him to be there. Yamamoto. So that's it. You pushed so hard to make the festival open to the public because you wanted Yamamoto to come, didn't you? The one thing that didn't sit right with me back at the family restaurant finally made sense. So that was it. Matsuo wanted to see Yamamoto at the festival, and that's why she went to the school to request the public opening. No wonder she refused to explain why she was so fixated on it. That's not it at all. Matsuo was obviously flustered. Then why? Because. Come on, tell me. We've been working together on this, trying to make the public festival happen. You didn't contribute even a speck to that effort, Hayashi-senpai. True enough. Yeah, in the end, Yamamoto was the real MVP of this whole thing. Though, if Matsuo were to thank him, I'm sure Yamamoto would just say something like, it was your achievement that got the school to agree. I just gave you some ideas. Yup, that definitely sounds like him. Crap, the imaginary Yamamoto in my head is getting way too detailed. At this rate, he might actually surpass the real thing. There's just one thing bothering me. After a moment, Matsuo spoke up hesitantly. Bothering you? Yes. She nodded. The third meeting with the school went way too smoothly. And I tilted my head. What was so strange about that? Didn't Yamamoto's strategy just work better than expected? I know Senpai's ideas were perfect. Matsuo prefaced her concern carefully. But the first 2 times, the teachers just brushed off everything we said. Sure, the presentation this time was the best we've ever made, thanks to Senpai's advice, but the moment I finished explaining, they just said, okay, let's do that without a single question. Doesn't that seem off? I hadn't been to any of those meetings myself, so I didn't know what the atmosphere was like. But if it really went from total indifference to instant approval in the third meeting, no questions asked, then yeah, I could see why she felt uneasy. Hayashi-senpai, has Yamamoto-senpai been doing anything odd lately? Why ask me? Because, as unacceptable as it is, you do live with him. Gee, thanks. I wasn't entirely convinced by her reasoning, but still, I tried to think. Had Yamamoto been acting strange lately, like Matsuo said, after gazing up at the sky for a while? Nothing's coming to mind. I gave up immediately and waved the white flag. Could you try to think a little harder for once? Hey, what's with that for once? You make it sound like I never think things through. Isn't that true? Don't be ridiculous. People only get mad when what's said hits the mark. No one likes being told the truth, okay? Understand that. Well, jokes aside, I really couldn't think of anything, so it's a bust. Yeah, but actually, Why do you think Yamamoto was the reason the third meeting with the school went so smoothly? Because when I think about who would secretly move things along behind the scenes without telling me, he's the only one who comes to mind. You're surprisingly ruthless with Yamamoto too, huh? I gave her a look of exasperation. Really? Nothing. I've been so wrapped up in thinking about the festival from our first year that I guess I haven't been paying attention to Yamamoto lately. Come to think of it, Hayashi-senpai, why did you decide to meet with Kakagawa-sensei today? Hi. Now that she mentioned it, why did I? I think I first went to talk to a classmate named Mita to learn more about what really happened during our first year festival, but that went nowhere. I looked up at the sky again. Then I remembered I gave Kako-chan's number to Yamamoto recently, and oh. Finally, it all came back to me. Yamamoto had asked for Kako-chan's number. By the way, who's the faculty advisor for the festival committee this year? Even if I gave you a name, I doubt you'd know them. They're a new hire. I see. That casual exchange between Yamamoto and Matsuo at the family restaurant. And then what Kako-chan had said earlier. Hearing Yamamoto-kun's voice again brought back a lot of memories. Recalling all of it now, I finally understood. So Kakagawa-sensei was Yamamoto-senpai's inside collaborator. Matsuo, who had overheard me, seemed to realize it as well. Now that I think about it, it's totally out of character for Yamamoto to reach out to one of his old teachers on his own. The reason he called her was probably to support your efforts to open the festival to parents and alumni. Yamamoto's the type who plans things really carefully. So even after offering all that advice, maybe he still felt like it wasn't enough to convince the teachers. I get that. Honestly, even I started to feel uneasy as I was putting the proposal together. I wondered if his suggestions alone would really be enough. Really? Yes, because this is unprecedented. If the teachers had absolutely no intention of approving it, they could have picked apart every little detail in our proposal. If things had gone that way, and Matsuo couldn't answer the teachers' questions during the meeting, that would have been it. The discussion would have ended, and the school wouldn't have approved public access for parents or alumni, not even at the third meeting. Yamamoto must have known that this third meeting was critical, that if a fourth meeting had to happen, the teachers' expectations and demands would only rise higher than they already were. It was easy to imagine the school upping the difficulty. Kako-chan was probably the perfect ally for Yamamoto. Yeah, Kakagawa-sensei is really approachable, kind, and good at reading the room. I've even seen male teachers trying to flirt with her now and then. Gross. Some of them are married, you know. You've got a sharp tongue, Hayashi-senpai. That just made my skin crawl, okay. But I think it's more than just her personality. I cleared my throat and steered us back on topic. I think it helped that Kako-chan isn't the festival committee advisor this year. Right. When the actual advisor pushes for something, it just sounds like internal lobbying. But when a different teacher, someone not directly involved, speaks up, the other teachers are more likely to take it seriously. Exactly. I nodded and thought to myself, how far ahead does that guy plan everything? For a brief moment, I found Yamamoto a little frightening. Kind of scary, isn't it? Apparently, I wasn't the only one who found Yamamoto a little terrifying. Matsuo did too. But thinking that he went that far behind the scenes for my sake, honestly, it doesn't feel bad at all. But of course, Matsuo wasn't the kind of girl who'd just leave it at that. Actually, it makes me feel like, how about that? Look how amazing my Yamamoto-senpai is. Matsuo puffed out her flat chest with pride. Honestly, that line kind of rubbed me the wrong way. He's not your Yamamoto. He might not be right now. But one day, if he's by my side, then that's all I'll need. Matsuo smiled with such refreshing honesty. To be fair, that wasn't something just anyone could say. Because what she meant, if you looked at it plainly, was that she'd be okay with whoever Yamamoto ended up dating for now. And that kind of thing isn't something most people could tolerate, no matter the timing or situation. But she could, because she accepted even that about Yamamoto. Because she had a big heart? No, that wasn't it. Because she was that deeply devoted to him. Then again, after seeing everything Yamamoto did back during our first year festival and again now, going all out behind the scenes to get the school to allow the festival to open, I kind of get why she's so infatuated. I really think I could learn something from her way of thinking. Though I also realized almost immediately There's no way I could do the same, because I'm not like her. I'm possessive. I couldn't stand watching someone I care about get taken by someone else. And more than anything, I love Yamamoto so much, I don't want to give him up to anyone. Anyway, I'm going to the festival with Yamamoto. I made sure to put special emphasis on the with Yamamoto part. Heth, I'll be waiting for you, Hayashi-senpai. Matsuo smirked unfazed. Too bad. I thought I might get a more jealous reaction out of her. Section, Audiobook by Masquerade at Masquerade Audiobooks. Chapter 8, The Queen Left Out of the Loop. Hey, we're almost there. MMH. I nudged Hayashi, who had been dozing off in the seat next to me, as I began getting ready to get off the train. Before we boarded, the skyline had been filled with towering buildings, but now they were completely out of sight. All that could be seen from the train window was the ocean and the familiar tree-lined road. That was a good nap. Well, I couldn't really relax with you around. Lately, I've been getting a real sense of how serious Hayashi's lack of direction is. I'm starting to think I should stop casually suggesting we go out together. Honestly, I wasn't all that enthusiastic about this trip back home, mostly because I had to bring Hayashi along. But after she whined about wanting to go, and then Misuzu Matsuo started blowing up my phone with non-stop calls that clearly weren't going to stop until I gave in, well, I cracked. Well, it just wouldn't feel right for the one who made it possible for parents and alumni to attend this year's culture festival to not show up. As our old school came into view in the distance, Hayashi said that. The one who really made it possible was Matsuo, who got the school to approve it. Yeah. I truly believed that, but Hayashi clearly wasn't interested in hearing it. It was just past 11 a.m. Along the tree-lined sidewalk we used to take to school about a year ago, a few people were out walking despite it being midday. Looking at the road next to us, there were quite a few cars. Most of the people inside looked like married couples. Do you think those people in the cars are all heading to the festival? Could be, they're all dressed up and look like couples. And today's a Saturday. For the parents, I guess it probably feels like a school open house. After passing the row of trees, our alma mater finally came into view. I felt a small wave of nostalgia, but the balloon decorations and the already lively school grounds made it feel less like a cherished old school and more like a local festival. It left me with mixed feelings. Exciting, isn't it, Yamamoto? Yeah, I guess. I gave a wry smile. Feels like we're at a theme park. Kinda gets you hyped up, doesn't it? If you think you're at a theme park, then stop looking like a zombie. Sorry for the dead look. I just happen to like peace and quiet. These loud, rowdy group events aren't really my thing. Are you alumni? As I put on my best, polite smile face, a student, probably part of the festival planning committee, called out to us. Ah, yes. We're conducting a survey for alumni right now. If you participate, we're handing out special bookmarks and giving you a ballot for an exclusive vote. Would you be willing to help us out? Sure, that's fine. Thank you very much. The student pointed toward the reception area. Would you mind heading over there, please? Yes. Come on, Yamamoto, let's go. Yeah. They ended up using your plan just as it was, huh? The wording in the announcement could have used a bit more finesse. The way the committee member phrased, it didn't really emphasize the benefit of the survey enough. If anything, they might have been better off not mentioning the voting part at all and just saying, there's a special bonus if you help us out. Still, from the looks of it, not many people are turning them down. Most visitors were heading straight toward the reception without protest. Well, I guess anyone who's the type to cause trouble at their kid's school or former alma mater wouldn't bother showing up in the first place. If that's the case, then based on how this year's survey turns out, they could probably do proper ID checks at the reception next year without hiding the intention behind it. There were signs placed all along the designated path to the reception. Following them, we made it there without issue. Meg. Just as we finished answering the survey, a loud, high-pitched voice rang out from behind us. Oh, Sakari. Hayashi responded to Kasahara's call, while I pretended not to notice her presence. Originally, the plan had been for the three of us, Kasahara, Hayashi, and me, to take the train together to our hometown and attend the culture festival at our old school. But thanks to Hayashi oversleeping, Kasahara had gone on ahead alone, and we agreed to meet up at the venue. I've been waiting for you, Meg. Engwe. Just when I was bracing myself for another overly dramatic reunion between Hayashi and Kasahara, I caught an elbow to the ribs from Kasahara. Why, was it because I hadn't said hello? Yo, Kasahara. Yup, you're looking just as lively as ever, Yamamoto-kun. Akari, I'm so sorry, I totally overslept. No worries. Really, don't sweat it. Hayashi visibly relaxed, her face softening with relief. The real reason she overslept was that she couldn't decide what to wear. She'd spent the entire night staring at her reflection, agonizing over her choices, this one. No, that one. And because she wouldn't stop fussing, I ended up blurting out, "Who cares what you wear?" Who do you think I was stressing over in the first place? That comment made Hayashi grumpy. Honestly, I had no idea what she meant. Akari, did you already check out any of the class exhibitions? Nope, I've been waiting here this whole time. Wait here. That's kinda intense. Yup. I mean, it's a rare chance to go around the culture festival with you again, Meg. So I figured I'd rather experience everything fresh, with you. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. And there it is, that pure, unfiltered emotion. Hayashi is nodding, but she's clearly overwhelmed. Wait, Hayashi-san, Akari. A familiar voice called out, prompting both Hayashi and Kasahara to turn around. Who was that again? Is that Yashimi-san? Who was she? I think we were in the same class once, but I can't place the face, name, or voice. Wow, it's been forever. How have you been? I've been good. How about you, Yashimi-san? Super good. Seriously, never better. That's great to hear. Yashimi and Kasahara chatted cheerfully while Hayashi stood slightly behind, quietly watching them. Come to think of it, Hayashi was always like that when talking with other girls back in high school. It was their trademark dynamic, Hayashi glaring like a hawk while Kasahara did all the talking. Probably Hayashi's way of maintaining her queen image. Oh, by the way, I saw on social media, you've got a boyfriend now, right? What, hey? Don't go digging like that. It's not like Kasahara actually cares. People only keep up with celebrities, influencers, or close friends. My renewed first impression of her is that she's one of those girls who thinks the world revolves around her. Hey, why don't we all walk around together today? I'm actually about to meet up with Yamai-kun. Meg, what do you think? I don't really care either way. In that case, Yamamoto-kun. Crap, do what you want. I'm going solo. Without waiting for a reply, I walked away from the group without even glancing back. Wait, was that Yamamoto, that troublemaker? Were you guys even friends with him? I could hear Yashimi's suspicious voice behind me. It's complicated. She's right, though. A lot has happened between us since graduation. And whatever happened isn't something for others to dig into. Besides, me wandering the festival with them, especially when Yashimi already thinks I'm a troublemaker, sounds like a terrible idea. Besides, walking alone through a school buzzing with festival energy, it brought back memories of how out of place I felt, even surrounded by all the excitement, of how my own cynicism kept me from ever truly enjoying the culture festival. Honestly, the only thing that's changed since then is that I'm no longer in uniform. Ow. Suddenly, someone grabbed my hand from behind. I turned around, and there she was. Senpai, I've been looking for you. Matsuo. She was the underclassman who'd helped out so much during last year's culture festival. You really did come. Just like you promised. You basically forced me to agree in the first place. But you still kept your promise, that's what matters. Matsuo smiled brightly. Thank you, senpai. Okay, that made my heart skip a beat a little. But I kept my composure. Looks like the festival's a huge hit. People kept passing by, parents, alumni, current students. A steady stream of foot traffic around us. I mean, I'd seen students happily roaming the halls in previous years too. But now, there were parents and former students mixed in. It felt a bit surreal, like the familiar and the unfamiliar were blending into one strange, nostalgic view. This is all thanks to you, senpai. Wasn't it you who got the school's permission in the first place? Didn't I say something similar to Hayashi earlier? No, the teachers were all really impressed, you know. They said it was a well-thought-out idea. That's so. Yep. Matsuo nodded cheerfully. Especially Kakagawa-sensei, she praised it a lot. Did she figure it out? Wait, are you mad at me? Not at all, really. I was actually happy to find out that you were pulling strings behind the scenes for me, senpai. So you are mad? I mean, how did she even know I asked Kakagawa-sensei to support her? It's not like Kakagawa-sensei would have told her. And the only other person who knew I had her contact info was Hayashi. Ah, so it was Hayashi. Sorry, I shouldn't have done things behind your back. You better be. You were all like, opening the festival to the public is your job as this year's planning committee, and the most I can do is help come up with ideas. Remember. Gah. Matsuo, your words are a little too sharp today. Could you put that knife away? It's cutting deep. Still, she's really fired up. She's usually so calm and composed. Is it the festival atmosphere? Senpai, by the way, where's Hayashi-senpai today? Ahem. Ah, she got pulled away by some old friends earlier. And what about Kasuharu-senpai? Why is Kasuharu's name coming up now? Matsuo didn't answer, and instead stared at me with serious eyes. She got pulled along too. I answered while looking away. I see. For some reason, Matsuo let out a small sigh of relief. Then, does that mean you're going around the festival alone right now, senpai? Huh? Yeah, I guess so. I see. And then, suddenly, just moments ago, Matsuo had been so lively. Now she suddenly lowered her gaze, looking uncharacteristically quiet. It felt like she was hesitating about something. But then she took a deep breath and with a determined look, raised her eyes to meet mine again. Her cheeks were slightly flushed. Her lips, lightly glossed with lip balm, trembled just a little. Senpai, would you go around the festival with me? Huh? Just for a little while. Matsuo's voice, even just for a little while, grew quieter with every word. I still have work to do, so 30 minutes, 40 maybe an hour tops. Her voice wasn't ladylike, it was delicate and uncertain. Just hearing her speak like that made me oddly nervous. What do you think? Well, spending a little time going around the festival with Matsuo didn't sound bad. In fact, I'd always wandered the festival alone back in high school. Seeing it with someone else might show me a different side of it. Even if I've already graduated, maybe there's still value in seeing things from a new perspective. That said, wouldn't it cause problems for her to walk around with someone like me? After all, I was just recognized as that troublemaker by some girl whose name I couldn't even remember. Senpai. I'd been so lost in thought, I'd completely forgotten Matsuo was standing right in front of me. What do I do? How should I respond? I felt bad about keeping Matsuo waiting too long, so despite my hesitation, I finally opened my mouth. Sorry. But the voice wasn't mine, it was Matsuo's. Just as I was about to speak, her phone started ringing. Hello, Akan, what's up? Turning her back to me, Matsuo answered the call. Probably someone from the Cultural Festival Committee. Hi. If my hunch is right, then Matsuo probably doesn't have the luxury of walking around the festival anymore. Oh, okay. Something must have gone wrong. I am heading over there too for now. Just from the flustered way Matsuo was speaking, my suspicion turned to certainty. There'd been some kind of trouble. Sorry, senpai. What happened? Huh? Just tell me. Matsuo hesitated. She probably didn't want to drag me, someone she invited to enjoy the festival, into all the mess. The parking lot's overwhelmed. She finally said it as if she'd given up. The parking lot. Our school has a staff lot and about 30 additional parking spaces. Normally, we ask festival attendees to use public transportation, or, if they come by car, to park at nearby paid lots. We've been spreading that message on social media. But we also did mention that we have about 30 spots available at school. Well, if there's a free parking lot right near the venue, of course people are going to prefer that over public transport or paying for a spot. As a result, a huge number of people showed up trying to use the school parking lot. Apparently, now the line of cars is backed up all the way to the main road. Now that I think about it, I did notice the traffic moving really slowly when I was on my way here earlier. That was about 30 minutes ago. A lot of the people in those cars looked dressed up, clearly heading to the school. What about directing them to the paid parking lots? The teachers are leading that effort, but the line just keeps getting longer. Akan, my friend, also went to help guide traffic, but it doesn't seem to be making much difference. Matsuo was already on the verge of tears. Did you miscalculate the numbers? I don't think so. Matsuo wiped her tears. Because, before the pandemic, we had the same setup for the festival, and the cars never spilled out onto the main road like this. And back then, the festival was open to the general public. This year, it's only open to parents and alumni. Logically, that should mean fewer people are attending. Plus, the number of paid parking lots nearby has increased since the pandemic. I remember at least 3 buildings near the school being demolished last year and turned into parking lots. Seems like this year's festival is a bigger hit than expected. Despite the crisis, I purposely made a light remark. That's why, senpai, I'm really sorry. I get it, I understand the situation. I let out a sigh. Let's go, Matsuo. I started walking. We're in this boat together now. I'll help you out. What's wrong? Why you can't? You came here to have fun, senpai. That's why I begged you to come today, because I wanted you to enjoy the festival. Yeah, I figured. So then, it's fine. I've already enjoyed the festival enough. After all, this year's cultural festival was nothing like the ones I knew back in high school. I got to come to school with a friend. A junior invited me to walk around the festival together. I'm already full. Any more of this, and I might get sick of it. I just don't fit in with the excited crowd. I'm too jaded to enjoy it honestly. Thank you. It's fine. I meant it as both, don't worry about me, and we'll get through this. Then let's hurry over. Hold on, Matsuo. What is it? You're not going to the parking lot. I'll say it clearly. There's nothing you can do at the parking lot. That's not true. No, it is. At best, you'll go there, see the situation, and panic along with the other committee members. Matsuo glared at me, clearly displeased. More importantly, listen. You're the Cultural Festival Committee Chair. The chair's job isn't to be in the field, it's to manage and oversee everything. I pulled my phone out of my pocket. Then where are we going? To Kakagawa-sensei. Kakagawa-sensei. We'll ask her to mediate, and then go straight to the principal. The principal. Matsuo's voice echoed through the school building in surprise. Directing people to public transport and nearby parking lots isn't working. And even if it does, there's a risk it'll exceed capacity. If that happens, the people already stuck in traffic might lose their patience. And if that explodes, we won't be able to contain it. You're right. So we have no choice but to create additional temporary parking on school grounds. On school grounds. Matsuo was surprised for a moment, but quickly composed herself. But where? The field. The field. Yeah, right now, the field's being used to store materials for the bonfire after festival event tonight. But really, most of that area is just open space. It's the perfect temporary parking lot. So we'll go directly to the principal and get permission to use it. But can we really set up a temporary parking lot that easily? That's part of the negotiation. At the very least, we'll need teachers, and probably even the student council to help with things like organizing the spaces and assigning people to direct cars. But going straight to the principal like that, The reason the last meeting with the teachers went well was because I prepared so thoroughly in advance. Going without an appointment, without notice, there's no way it'll work. It'll be fine. It won't. It will. How can you be so sure, senpai? Simple. I smiled. Because that's what I'm here for, right? I feel like I said the same thing to Hayashi before. I'll talk to the principal. You will, senpai. Yeah, it's fine. Given the situation, I'm sure the principal wants to avoid any unnecessary trouble. I think they'll be willing to hear us out. Why? Why are you doing all this for us? Why? I gave a wry smile, because I like it. Matsuo froze for a moment, then, "Hey!" she shouted, loud enough to echo through the room. That reaction caught me off guard. I mean, I like working hard for our school's festival. After all, I thought Matsuo, the festival committee chair this year, felt the same way I did. Anyway, I'll call Kakagawa-sensei. In that awkward silence, I put my phone to my ear. Section. After consulting with Kakagawa-sensei, we immediately went to make a direct appeal to the principal. Just as planned, our proposal had 2 points. To request permission to use the schoolyard as a temporary parking lot, and to ask for assistance from the teachers to make it happen. With the still slightly flustered Kakagawa-sensei, who'd just come from field work, and a tense Matsuo in tow, we headed for the principal's office. Oh, it's been a while, hasn't it? The moment he saw my face, the principal said that. I hadn't expected him to remember me, or even know who I was since I'd graduated last year, so it threw me off a bit. But once the discussion began, I didn't feel particularly nervous. The principal didn't object to my request. He was already aware that the parking situation had reached a breaking point, and it seemed he'd been thinking about taking action himself. I understand. I'll arrange for personnel right away, so we can use the schoolyard as a temporary parking lot. With that calm tone of his, the principal accepted our proposal. From there, we discussed the staffing. How many people would handle dividing the lot? How many would direct cars to time-based parking? How many would manage the internal parking areas and guide visitors? We listed everything out. Matsuo contacted the student council to secure additional help, and we spent a hectic stretch sorting it all out. So, who's going to oversee the site for the temporary parking lot? I asked. I'll take care of it, the principal volunteered. Sorry to trouble you. Think nothing of it. No, really. We thought we'd plan things carefully enough to avoid overburdening the staff while allowing more people to attend the festival. But it looks like our foresight was lacking. I understand. The principal seemed to have picked up on something in my tone. Well now, I thought this year's festival committee had quite an interesting way of thinking. I guess that's thanks to your involvement. Probably shouldn't have said too much earlier. No, I only got involved near the end. Was it before the third planning meeting or so? Yeah, around then. I read the minutes. You haven't changed a bit. That made me a little embarrassed. I couldn't tell if it was a compliment or sarcasm. Don't worry, it's not an insult. Quite the opposite, actually. Really? Yes. Having you around makes things more enjoyable like today. Please don't say that in front of the people sweating it out on site right now. I used to work in the private sector, you know. Back then, I made plenty of mistakes and caused a fair share of problems. That's what led me into teaching. But lately, at my age, I've started to feel that same kind of excitement again. I see. Yes. So when you pulled off that whirlwind performance at last year's festival, it was exhilarating. Elahi. And when you graduated, I have to admit, things felt a little lonelier around here. Thanks, I guess. I'll be counting on you from now on, too. I couldn't help but wonder, what did he mean? From now on, when I'd already graduated from this school. Anyway, let's hurry up and get the temporary parking lot ready. I was a little afraid to ask what the principal really meant, so I decided to end the discussion there. After that, work proceeded at a rapid pace. As soon as the white lines dividing each parking space were drawn, we began parking cars in those areas one after another. Even though it was a rather improvised process, setting up while parking cars at the same time, thanks to the principal's precise on-site direction, things wrapped up much faster than expected. Perhaps it was the combination of directing visitors to nearby time-based parking lots and the festival committee's PR team calling for the use of public transportation on social media. But shortly after the temporary parking lot was completed, the traffic congestion around the school disappeared. We finally done. Matsuo, looking utterly exhausted, let out a sigh. Right now, I was in the classroom used by the Cultural Festival Committee, surrounded by students who had just finished their work and slumped in their chairs. Technically, I was an outsider, so I hadn't planned on intruding into their space, but somehow I ended up here. Good work, everyone. Some of the teachers, also done with their share of work, brought in drinks to thank the students for their efforts. Of course, I didn't take any. I already felt out of place enough as it was. Yamamoto-senpai, long time no see. Oh yeah, it's been a while. Along the way, a few underclassmen who apparently had been on the committee last year as well greeted me. Unfortunately, I couldn't really remember their faces. Sorry for being such a cold senpai. I gave them a polite smile and brushed it off. Well, I guess I'll go take a look around the festival now. Just as the committee members were finishing their break and getting ready to return to their posts, I decided it was a good time for me to leave too. Senpai, actually, there's something I wanted to discuss with you. Matsuo stopped me. You can just handle it with the committee, can't you? Please, senpai, I really want your advice on this one. Yamamoto-senpai, I'd really appreciate it too. Me too. For some reason, a few of the committee members chimed in to support Matsuo. Fine. Well, I figured I'd just end up standing around awkwardly at the festival anyway. I reluctantly stayed in the classroom. All right, everyone, back to your posts. The first girl who had sided with Matsuo clapped her hands. Come on, you two. Senpai, my break's not even over yet. Doesn't matter, that's an order from your senpai. Whoa, so bossy. A few unfortunate committee members left the classroom, muttering as they went. In the end, only Matsuo and I remained. So, what did you want to talk about? A. I tried to get straight to the point, but for some reason, Matsuo, who was the one who asked for this talk in the first place, just tilted her head, leaving me confused enough to let out a weird sound. Sorry. I need a moment to think, so how about some juice in the meantime? I'm fine. Don't say that. Really, I'm fine. Geez, just take the juice at least. Losing her patience, Matsuo shoved a bottle of orange juice into my hands. Thank you so much for your help today. She spoke as I sipped the juice. It's fine. Honestly, who could have predicted the festival would turn out such a success? You're right. I'm sure some teachers were annoyed by the extra workload, but the principal's probably happy things went this well. It's great publicity for the school, after all. This will definitely get featured in the school newspaper, or maybe even beyond that. This could become a model case for other schools that want to reopen their festivals to parents and alumni now that the pandemic's over. It was even possible that a local TV station might come to cover it. After all, this whole initiative to partially reopen the festival had been led almost entirely by the students. Adults are always weak to the sight of the younger generation taking initiative for the future. If there's one thing I'm curious about, though, it's why this year's festival ended up being such a hit in the first place. Given that our town is more car-dependent than Tokyo, it made sense that more people would drive instead of taking public transport. Still, as Matsuo mentioned earlier, even though the pre-pandemic festivals had looser participation rules, the turnout had only ever been enough to fill 30 parking spaces. So this time, there were so many people that we actually had to build a temporary parking lot. Maybe it was because, now that the pandemic had ended, people were finally free from movement restrictions and eager to go out again. No, that couldn't be it. Enough time had already passed since the pandemic ended. It felt a little too late for that to be the reason. It was possible that graduates from the pandemic years came because they wanted to experience the cultural festival they never got to have themselves. But it didn't seem like there were an unusually large number of them in attendance either. Senpai, I think I might know why. Matsuo spoke hesitantly, her tone uncertain. You know the survey we were collecting? I was reviewing the responses we managed to tally before the trouble started, and I noticed something. There was a section on the survey about the reason for visiting, remember? Oh yeah, there was. If I recalled correctly, it asked questions like how people learned about the festival, or who invited them to come. There was also a question asking what made them want to attend, wasn't there? Yeah, there was. So far, the majority of respondents checked the box for to vote for class exhibits. But wasn't that a multiple-choice question? It was, but that option had by far the most responses. So that's it. The reason this year's festival had drawn so many more outside visitors than pre-pandemic years, it came down to the students' enthusiasm for promoting it. This time, the results of the festival's class exhibitions were being decided by votes from outside visitors. Naturally, that got the current students fired up, especially the competitive types with wide social circles. Those kinds of people probably reached out to their parents, friends, and alumni, urging them to come. And once those invitations went out, anyone who wasn't particularly busy, parents curious about their children's school life, or alumni nostalgic for their high school days, would think, why not drop by the festival for a bit? Add to that the publicity value of reopening school events to the public after several years, and it's no wonder attendance shot up. Come to think of it, even people like me, Hayashi, and Kasahara, who all live in Tokyo, had come back for it. So maybe it should have been obvious that this year would draw more people than before the pandemic. In short, thanks to all that publicity and outreach, the number of outside visitors had grown far beyond what the school's limited parking could handle. The lot filled up almost instantly. And since festivals are the kind of events people stay at for hours, cars remained parked, turnover was low, and before long, lines of vehicles spilled out onto the main roads. Which meant, when you followed the chain of events back far enough, this whole mess might have been because of my suggestion. Should I apologize? No, maybe it's fine. I only suggested the idea. The decision to implement it wasn't mine. Sure, I felt some responsibility as the one who proposed it, but if I apologized now, wouldn't that just make me look like I was overestimating my own importance? Sorry about that anyway. Well, better to apologize just in case. Senpai. Yes. Anything else? Matsuo looked at me again with a serious gaze. At first, I thought that expression meant she was reflecting deeply on what had happened, wanting advice for next time. But I quickly realized that wasn't it. To her, the issue with the parking lot was already over and done with. So then, what else did she want from me? Isn't there anything else you're curious about? Curious about? You haven't noticed. Noticed what? Hayashi-senpai figured it out right away. Hayashi, what on earth had she noticed? You really were thinking about it, weren't you, senpai? What was Matsuo even talking about? About why I wanted this year's cultural festival to be open to the public. That jogged my memory. I'd asked her that once before, twice, actually, back at the family restaurant. But she dodged the question every time, never once giving me a straight answer. So eventually, I gave up and decided to forget about it. So why did you want that? When Matsuo finally seemed ready to tell me why she'd wanted the festival to be open to the public, I asked her. So, what was the reason? Because I wanted you to come, senpai. That was the last thing I expected to hear. Me? Yes. That doesn't make any sense. That was my honest reaction. I was never one for loud, festive events like school festivals. Even if the cultural festival at my old high school reopened to the public, I wouldn't have gone out of my way to visit. Well, unless a persistent underclassman somehow dragged me into a promise. Thinking back, the way Matsuo had kept pestering me to come might have already been her confession in disguise. Still, another question rose in my mind. Why would she want me here so badly? Senpai, you probably have no idea why I wanted you to come to the festival. I'm glad we're on the same page. Do you remember how we first met? Probably through the festival committee, right? That's right. Then, do you remember what we talked about first? Of course not. I figured, that's just like you, senpai. Matsuo gave a small, wry smile. Our first conversation started because I made a mistake. A mistake? Yes. You could call me reserved, to put it nicely, but back then I was just shy. I couldn't really say what I thought, always went along with others, and didn't have many friends. Yeah, I knew the type. I actually wanted to be on the library committee. I love books. But one of the popular girls in class took that spot, so I got stuck with one of the leftover roles, the cultural festival committee. I see. So, I had no motivation at all. But I also didn't want to get scolded for slacking off, so I just did the bare minimum, keeping my head down and blending in, like a weathercock swaying whichever way the wind blew. Come to think of it, back then Matsuo had been quiet. Always polite, always with that faint, practiced smile. That must have been her way of getting through things unnoticed. The person I was most afraid of back then was you, senpai. Me? Yes. Why? Because, well, you had a terrible reputation. That old thing. Even before I talked to you, I'd already decided you were scary. And well, when I finally met you, you really were a little scary as a committee member. Why's that? Because even though you were only a year older, your instructions were precise, your reasoning was sharp, and you came across as a kind of a perfectionist. I'm really not that perfect. I can see that now, but back then I didn't think so. Ugh. So I kept convincing myself that if I made a mistake, you'd get angry. If I made a mistake, you'd yell. If I made a mistake, you'd kill me. Hey, I know, I overthought it. And maybe because I kept pressuring myself that way, that's exactly when I did make a mistake. I underordered the balloons for the decorations. At that, the memory finally clicked. Right, last year she had made a mistake with the balloon order. The next day, when I checked the order confirmation email, my face went pale. I panicked. I didn't want to tell you, senpai. I was terrified. So on the way home, I went to a store and bought the missing balloons out of my own pocket. That was incredibly foolish, even for Matsuo. Senpai, you're the type who pays attention to details, so you counted the balloons the day they arrived. Yeah, that sounds like me. The problem was that you always double-checked the count by comparing the request form and the order record side by side. Right, and that's how I noticed the numbers didn't match. But then, when you saw that the actual number of balloons was correct, You came to ask me what had happened. Ugh. At that moment, I thought, that's it. I'm dead. It was true, back then, all I'd done was ask her what had happened, yet Matsuo had looked utterly pale and exhausted. I knew I couldn't hide it anymore, so I told you everything. That I'd made a mistake with the order. That I'd bought the balloons out of my own pocket. I confessed all of it. Yeah, I remember that now. That was when you yelled at me, senpai. You called me an idiot, you were scary, but I thought I deserved it. I blamed myself for being so careless as to make a mistake like that. Ugh. But the reason you got angry wasn't because I made the mistake. It was because I didn't report it, because I went and paid for it myself. That's why you were angry with me. Maybe the memory still shook her, tears began to fall from Matsuo's eyes. I still can't forget it. Forget what? What you said, you told me, making a mistake isn't a big deal, so speak up next time. And then you apologized. Sorry for making you buy the balloons with your own money. You even said, it must have been tough buying them after your committee work, and thanked me. And then you handed me the money for the balloons I'd bought. Did I really do that? Don't you dare say you forgot. You told me not to worry because it'd come from the budget. But that was a lie, wasn't it? No idea what you're talking about. Senpai, you took it out of your own wallet, didn't you? My back itched with embarrassment. You really are kind, senpai. God, please, just forget that already. After that, my impression of you completely changed. I thought you were scary, but I realized you were actually kind. I thought you were a perfectionist, but I found out you were more fragile than I imagined. Though I still think you're nitpicky. Shut it. Before I knew it, I started watching you all the time. Learning more about you made me happy. Getting to see different sides of you made me happy. I even regretted not getting to know you sooner. Ugh. At first, you terrified me. I didn't want to talk to you. I didn't want to be scolded by you. But now, Matsuo. Now, I just want to keep watching you, senpai. Matsuo slowly moved toward the window. The festival was nearly over. Soon preparations for the after-party would begin. Senpai, do you know now why I wanted you to come to the festival? When she turned toward me, her eyes trembled with uncertainty. Just like you made last year's festival a success, I wanted to do the same this year. I wanted to prove I could too. Her voice quivered as she spoke. And then, I wanted to tell the senpai I love that I love him at my festival. Matsuo drew in a deep breath. Senpai, I love you. Behind her, the deep red sunset was sinking below the horizon, slowly, softly. At first, I didn't even realize she was confessing to me. But as her words sank in, I finally understood she really had confessed. The first thought that came to mind was disbelief. Was this some kind of joke? But that doubt disappeared almost instantly. Matsuo wasn't the type to go through all the trouble of calling me to the festival just to pull a cruel prank. But if that was the case, I couldn't help wanting to ask what exactly she saw in someone like me. Still, I thought that would be tactless, so I kept the question to myself. To be honest, I didn't feel bad about it. I'd spent most of my life being disliked by others, so knowing that someone I could trust had feelings for me, it made me genuinely happy. There was nothing false about that feeling, and I had no intention of hiding it. Sorry. Even so, I couldn't bring myself to return her feelings. Silence filled the classroom. A silence that felt endless inside the wide room where only the two of us stood. I'm not as shocked as I thought I'd be. Matsuo's head was lowered. I knew you were going to turn me down. She still didn't lift her face. Can I ask why? Would she be angry if she heard the reason? Or would she just be disappointed? I was honestly a little afraid to find out, but I quickly pushed that fear aside. If I was going to reject someone who had confessed to me, the least I could do was face her properly. Because you've got entrance exams this year, right? That was the only reason I could give her. You shouldn't be wasting time on love right now. You should be focusing on getting into the school you want. If she were to ask, then can I confess again after exams? Well, that'd be another matter entirely. But for now, all I wanted to tell her was that there were things more important than romance. When she heard that, Matsuo. She gave a dry, broken laugh. Senpai, you're really honest, huh? But you know, no matter what reason you gave for rejecting me, I had no intention of giving up on you. What the hell? Caught off guard by her sudden declaration, I froze as Matsuo stepped closer. Because there's no way I could give up that easily. And then she wrapped her arms around me. That's how much I love you. Sorry. Senpai. What? Apologizing like that is cowardly. Ugh. If you're going to say sorry, then don't reject me in a way that leaves me with hope. Even if I didn't give you hope, you wouldn't give up anyway, right? Matsuo's arms tightened around my back. Well, yeah, but still. She pressed her face hard against my chest, rubbing it in frustration. But I'm glad, at least for today, to know that you hesitated, even just a little. Hesitated, huh? She wasn't wrong. Her words were a mess, but honestly, so was my answer. Because just like she said, I really was hesitating. Can you let go now? Nope. You say that, but this is punishment, senpai. For the guy who was head over heels himself around this time last year, yet won't let me do the same. Why? My face instantly flushed red. Where the hell did she hear that story? Senpai. What is it? Please, just don't end up regretting it, okay? Don't worry. In my entire life, I've never once regretted a single thing. That might not stay true forever, you know. I couldn't begin to guess what she really meant by that. But even as she threw those sharp words at me, the fact that she was still worrying about me made me feel a pang of guilt for turning her down. Chapter 9, The Queen at the After Party. After parting ways with Matsuo, I wandered around the school on my own. It wasn't like I had anywhere I particularly wanted to go. I just couldn't bring myself to keep walking around with Matsuo any longer. As I strolled aimlessly, a thought occurred to me. Come to think of it, I never filled out that ballot we got at the entrance. The cultural festival was just about to end. There wasn't really time left to check out more classrooms. Should I just write something random, or maybe just turn it in blank, or toss it all together? You haven't filled out your ballot yet. A familiar voice suddenly called out from behind me, making me jump. I turned around in a panic, and there stood my current roommate. Geez, where have you been wandering around? It was Hayashi. I mean, we came to the cultural festival together, and we didn't even make a single memory. She pouted, clearly unhappy. It's not like we would have made any special memories, just by walking around together. I replied, saying something unusually negative, even for me. Didn't we not go around together in the first place because you got caught up with your classmates from last year? Elahi. As if I'd hit the nail on the head, Hayashi averted her gaze. Now that I looked closely, she was holding a paper bag she hadn't brought on the way here. Looks like she had a good time at the festival. Speaking of last year's classmates. So, what happened to the people you were with earlier? Oh, they already went home. Kasahara too. Yeah. Hayashi nodded. Akari said she was gonna grab dinner with everyone before heading back. I see. Th, the truth is, I was invited to go with them too. But I thought it'd be kinda sad to leave you behind, so. I see, so that's why you came looking for me. Pretty much. Hearing her admit it with such shy honesty made me a little happy, but it annoyed me just enough not to say thank you. So, what have you been doing all this time? It's kind of a long story. That's fine. Your stories are always long-winded and overly logical anyway. Can't argue with that. I cleared my throat, then started explaining the whole mess from earlier to Hayashi, right there in the still lively hallway. Now that you mention it, the streets were unusually packed when I was walking to school earlier. Yeah, if only we'd realized then. Hayashi moved toward the window and looked out over the schoolyard. You're right, there's a parking lot in the courtyard now. You didn't notice? Not at all. Maybe because I was having so much fun. Having fun, huh? Since graduating high school, Hayashi's life had been nothing but chaos. Starting with the DV incident, being betrayed by a college friend, then losing her father. She's been through one awful thing after another, so much so that just remembering it all makes me feel depressed. If today's cultural festival gave her even the tiniest bit of a break from all that, then I'm glad. Well, I guess we should get going too. Now that Hayashi had gotten the best possible outcome, a bit of stress relief, I didn't see any reason to stay at the school any longer. Wait a sec. But Hayashi stopped me. Since we're here and all, why don't we walk around the school together, just for a bit? Her gaze was fixed on the ballot still in my hand. Right. I still haven't filled this out for any class. Got it. I nodded and walked through the school with Hayashi. But since the closing ceremony was just around the corner, most of the class attractions were already shutting down. That'll do. With no real basis left for a proper evaluation, I decided to vote for the same class I belonged to last year. Hey, Hayashi, who did you vote for? That's a secret. I see. I asked, but I wasn't particularly curious, so I didn't push the conversation any further. The festival's really ending, huh? An official announcement from the Cultural Festival Committee came over the PA system, asking all non-students to vacate the premises. With that, the cultural festival was officially over for us graduates. Yamamoto. What is it? Did you actually have fun today? Does it matter? As long as you had fun, that's good enough, isn't it? Huh, you're such an idiot. Hayashi looked at me in disbelief. Of course it matters whether you had fun too. Back in high school, I never would have known this about her, but Hayashi is surprisingly considerate. She's not just thinking about herself, she really does care whether I enjoyed the festival too. Though, if our relationship were still the same as it was back then, and I'd said I had fun, she probably would have clicked her tongue. But now, I'm sure. I had fun. If I said that, Hayashi would surely. Then I'm glad. Smiled gently at me, just like she is now. All right, let's head home. As much as I didn't want to leave, staying any longer would just be a nuisance to the current students. I turned to head out. Yamamoto. But Hayashi stopped me again. Her voice was unusually hesitant. Well, you know. She sounded strangely timid. Do you think we could stay at school just a little longer? Hayashi made that out-of-the-blue request. I mean, we're here, so why not stick around for the campfire? No. I answered without a moment's hesitation. The after-party is an event for current students only. We're outsiders. You know that, right? Why, yeah, I know that, but still. Breaking the rules comes with consequences. What if us sneaking in causes trouble, and this becomes the last year that guardians or alumni are allowed to attend the festival, even after Matsuo went through all that trouble to get it approved? So let's just go home. If you really want to see the campfire, I'll ask Matsuo to send you a video of it. Setting aside whether I could actually make that kind of request to the very person I turned down earlier. I figured if I said this much, even Hayashi would give up. Come on, let's just watch it. She didn't give up. What's going on? Hayashi's never this insistent. We're wearing casual clothes, you know. If we show up to the after-party out of uniform, we'll stand out instantly. That's not a problem. Hayashi started rummaging through the paper bag she'd been carrying this whole time. Here. And then she handed me a school uniform. Huh. To be honest, I was kind of freaked out. Where did you get this? Where the hell did Hayashi get those uniforms? Now that I looked closely, there was one for each gender. Don't tell me she took them from current students. What kind of person does that? I didn't do anything you're imagining, okay. Yeah, I guess even she wouldn't go that far. Still, Hayashi, could you stop glaring at me like that? You're scary. After a moment, Hayashi let out a long, deep sigh. Honestly, I was the one who wanted to sigh here. After I split up with Akari, I kinda got lost wandering around campus. Don't treat getting lost like some warm-up exercise. And then, by chance, I ended up in front of the faculty office. I figured I might as well say hi to Kako-chan, but for some reason, she looked absolutely drained. Well, yeah, considering the whole mess with the parking collapse, redirecting traffic to the pay lot, and me dragging her to the principal's office, it's been a day. But when she saw me, she smiled like she was really happy to see me. We ended up chatting for a bit, and then, out of nowhere, Kako-chan was like, Yamamoto and Meg should stay and watch the after-party, and handed these over. So you're the culprit, Kakagawa-sensei. I thought she was the serious type. This is kind of a letdown. She said Meg still has smooth, youthful skin, and we could totally pass for current high schoolers in uniform. She's clearly implying that she couldn't pass anymore. And then she said, if we just blend into the dark, we'll be fine and no one will notice. That's exactly how a petty thief would think. A surprisingly sneaky Kakagawa-sensei. And Hayashi just going along with her suggestion without a second thought. There were so many things I wanted to retort, I didn't know where to start. See, if we do it like this, we definitely won't get caught. You can't say definitely. It'll be fine. And what exactly makes you so sure? Because I've got crazy good luck, you know. Can you really say that with a straight face, after everything that's happened since you graduated? Even I couldn't bring myself to say that out loud. Honestly, I wanted to say no. I wanted to say, let's just go home, but knowing how stubborn she is. Now that it's come to this, there's no way Hayashi will back down. She's definitely going to insist we stay and watch the campfire. Fine, fine already. Reluctantly, I gave into her plan. Hayashi's face immediately lit up. But we're watching the campfire from a distance. Got it. Really? No, that's non-negotiable. Okay. Good. Is this really okay? My head was already starting to hurt. Well then. Hayashi took the girl's uniform out of my hands. Let's get changed first. Yeah. We each locked ourselves into a restroom and changed into the uniforms. Putting on a school uniform I thought I'd never wear again, it was honestly kind of embarrassing. It felt a little like I was cosplaying. Section, until the after-party started, we killed time in the restrooms. Let's go soon. Once I got the message from Hayashi, I stepped out. The hallway was silent. It seemed everyone had already gone out to the courtyard. There wasn't a single trace of movement inside the building. With a creak, the girls' restroom door opened. Whoa. A small sound of awe slipped out. Bathed in the dim light of the post-sunset school building, Hayashi stepped out in uniform from the girls' restroom. I found myself completely captivated. Well, how do I look? Hayashi shyly asked the question, snapping me back to my senses. It's kinda refreshing. Really? Yeah, back in high school, your hair was blonde. Suddenly, I was struck by a strange, inexplicable sense of guilt. Hey, Yamamoto. What is it? You look good too. You cut it out. It's embarrassing. Hayashi fidgeted with her feet. I folded the skirt 3 times, but maybe it's a bit too short. You don't have to say things like that. It feels kinda breezy. I said you don't have to say things like that. I did my best to keep Hayashi's skirt out of my field of vision. Still, for someone who just told me she's embarrassed about how short it is, she doesn't seem keen on fixing it. Is this her former queenly pride or something? All right, shall we go? Yeah. We walked through the silent school building without saying a word. As we neared the shoe lockers, I heard cheering from the direction of the schoolyard. Think the campfire started. Probably. Even though I told Hayashi earlier we should just go home, I realized I was a little excited. I guess deep down, I did want to see the campfire. I held back my growing eagerness and changed from slippers to shoes. Hey, Yamamoto. Suddenly, Hayashi called out from behind me. When I turned, I saw her standing frozen in front of the shoe lockers. I'm sorry. An unexpected apology. For what? I had no idea what she was apologizing for. I looked into it. Into what? The after-festival party from our first year. So she looked into that incident. And what did you find out? I'm sorry. What are you apologizing for now? For blaming you. As much as I wanted to laugh it off as a joke, it seemed Hayashi had no intention of brushing this aside. I'll say this first, there's no reason for you to apologize. There is. There's not. There is. There's not. At first, I didn't think I needed to apologize either. But in the end, I'm sorry. The school building, unlike during the day, was dimly lit. I couldn't see Hayashi's face very well in the darkness, but I could tell she was looking down. I could also hear her sniffling. If I hadn't grabbed you and accused you the day after the party, people wouldn't have misunderstood and thought the missing lumber order was your fault. You don't need to beat yourself up over it. Even if you'd said nothing, I still would have claimed it was my fault. Back in our first year, I had volunteered to be the lead for the cultural festival committee. No one forced me, I just couldn't stand how unmotivated everyone else was. Looking back, it was a selfish decision, and that selfishness led to mistakes. So no matter what anyone says, that missing lumber order was my responsibility. Didn't it bother you? Hayashi asked, having everyone talk behind your back. Wasn't it hard? If she's asking whether I hated being talked about, then no, I didn't like it. If you're asking whether it was hard being blamed, then yeah, it was. It's in the past now. But now I've come to terms with it as just something that happened a long time ago. I've moved on, it's over. You're really strong, you know. That's not true. I'm not all that strong. I get discouraged just like anyone else. I make mistakes too. But now I've come to terms with it, because I made up for it. I made up for it. Hayashi, out of the 3 years, which cultural festival did you enjoy the most? Hayashi looked completely thrown off by the question. 3rd year, I guess. Hearing her answer, I smiled softly. Not first or second year. Yeah. I see. Uh-oh, I can't stop my face from grinning. Do you know who the Cultural Festival Committee Chair was in our third year? Huh. Well, since Akari gave the opening speech, wasn't it her? That's what you'd think. At our school, it's tradition for the committee chair to give speeches at official events like the opening and closing ceremonies, as well as the after-festival gathering. And last year, Kasahara gave the speeches at all those ceremonies. Giving a speech at the opening, closing, or the after-festival gathering, those are important moments that mark the beginning and end of everything. Now, what do you think would have happened if someone unpopular around school took the mic for that? Hayashi stood there with her mouth agape. Most likely, it would have killed the mood. Especially if they knew that person was the same one who screwed up the lumber order back in first year. People probably wouldn't have been able to enjoy the festival properly. They'd feel uneasy. Don't tell me. That's why, using the authority I had as the Cultural Festival Committee Chair, I entrusted all the official speeches to the more approachable Kasahara. If I do say so myself, it was the perfect call. So you were the committee chair last year? Yeah. Last year's festival. As committee chair, I fulfilled all my responsibilities. I left behind results. I passed down things that were carried on to this year's festival. I even did things that couldn't be replicated this year. And I didn't make a single mistake. I managed to create a festival where everyone could end the day with a smile. That's why my failure during the first year's festival, I don't remember it even a little anymore. That mistake, it's already been made up for. Yamamoto. Yeah. I wasn't cutting you any slack, you know. I judged things fairly. I know. You're amazing. Hayashi said, really always thinking about everything. Is that supposed to be a compliment? Oh, idiot. Hayashi smiled. There's no higher praise than that. Yeah. Shall we go? Yeah. We stepped out from the shoe lockers and began to walk. As we passed the school building and then the gym, we saw it, beyond the protective netting, a tall orange flame rising into the sky. Wow. Hayashi, beside me, let out a cheer, and I almost found myself cheering too. Now that I think about it, I don't think I ever really participated in an after-festival party during high school. It was canceled in our first year. In our second year, I went home the moment the festival ended. And in third year, I left it to the other committee members and watched the flames rise from a classroom window. That's kind of surprising. But I didn't have the luxury to watch the campfire back then. I never thought Hayashi would be the one to invite me to watch the campfire with her. My heart felt like it was going to burst out of my chest. Yamamoto. Ahem. You look kind of lonely. Hayashi's words made me realize I was getting strangely sentimental. Something wrong. What is it, really? Was it because of Matsuo's confession earlier? Or because Hayashi made me change into a high school uniform? Or maybe it was seeing the campfire. It's not like I'm feeling lonely or anything. I tried to deflect. Hey, Hayashi. Since we're here, want to get a little closer to the fire? And then, I felt like going back on what I'd said earlier. What's gotten into you all of a sudden? Now that I think about it, I never really took part in the after-festival before. Didn't you say you were the Cultural Festival Committee Chair last year? Even a committee chair knows a few ways to sneak off, you know. I see. Hayashi smiled. All right, let's go then. She took the lead, walking toward the campfire. Hey, Yamamoto. Suddenly, she turned on her heel. While we're at it, why don't we dance too? It doesn't really suit me, does it? Does it really matter if it suits you? You've got a point. If it were any other day, I probably would have turned down an invite to dance a folk dance. But today, I kind of wanted to dance with Hayashi. I'm not good at dancing, so I'm counting on you to lead. Got it, I'm not good at teaching others, but leave it to me. You realize that's not very reassuring, right? No worries. You know what the most important thing in an after-festival folk dance is? No clue. Thought so. The most important thing is rhythm and youth. So basically, just going with the flow. In terms of youth, we can't really compete with the current students. I laughed. We probably wouldn't have danced together if it had been last year. If you had invited me back then, I'd have clicked my tongue at you. Don't be ridiculous. I'm not the kind of guy who'd invite someone to dance. True, that's fair. It's been about a year since last year's festival. As time passed, our relationship changed. But it wasn't just our relationship that changed. From high school to college, from our hometown to the city, saying goodbye to someone important, reuniting with someone important, passing on feelings, having feelings passed on to us. Now, I've come to feel that I want to enjoy this life living with her just a little longer. Go easy on me, all right. In front of the orange flames, among the cheerful voices of the current students, we took each other's hands. Chapter 10, The Foolish Queen. Lalalallin. The day after the high school cultural festival, I was humming as I prepared lunch. You're in a ridiculously good mood, said Yamamoto, my housemate. Really? I don't think so, though. You sure about that? Totally. Grinning, I kept going. I brushed it off like that, but even I knew I was in a great mood right now. Honestly, I was floating. I felt amazing. The reason was, of course, the cultural festival yesterday. I got to meet old friends again and had so many great conversations. And sneaking into the after-festival party, breaking the rules. Dancing the folk dance with Yamamoto, more than anything, that became a precious memory. Hehehe. You're totally floating, aren't you? No, I'm not. Cut my finger, hehehe. I'll get a bandage. Even while Yamamoto was treating my finger, I couldn't stop smiling. Well, I'm heading out for my part-time shift. Have a good one. After lunch, Yamamoto left the house for work. All right, can't just be floating around all day. Time to get some chores done. Let's start by bringing in the laundry. Just as I was about to step out onto the balcony, my phone rang. The caller ID showed an unknown number. Hello. Ever since Yamamoto told me he doesn't pick up calls from unknown numbers, I'd been doing the same. But today, I was in such a good mood that I answered on a whim. Hello, is this Hayashi-senpai's number? The voice on the other end sounded oddly familiar, and I felt like I'd just heard it recently. But I couldn't place it. Yes, this is Hayashi. Who's calling? It's me, a scam. It is not, the caller snapped. It's Matsuo, come on, you should have recognized me from my voice. Oh, right, that Matsuo, the underclassman 1 year below us, my so-called romantic rival, and also a bit of a walking emotional black hole. How'd you even get my number? That was the first thing that popped into my mind. Through certain sources. Nope, not okay. You can't just go around asking people for someone's number. Depending on the person, that could be considered stalker behavior, you know. Yeah, sorry about that. Matsuo apologized without a fight. No worries, no need to apologize. Because, well, I was in a good mood. All right then, bye now. Wait, why are you trying to hang up? Huh. I mean, the reason you called was just to say you got my number, and now I should watch my back at night, right? That's your brain is totally destroyed, isn't it? Her exasperated voice came through the phone. That's not it. The reason I called Hayashi-senpai is to file a complaint. A complaint? Huh, when exactly did I do something that would warrant a complaint from Matsuo? I ran through a bunch of thoughts, but none of them rang any bells. Not a single one. Hayashi-senpai, you were mixed into the after-festival crowd yesterday, weren't you? Ah, there it is. Honestly, what were you thinking? It's only because no one noticed you senpai Takai were there, and nothing happened, that this didn't blow up. But one wrong move, and that hard-won rule, allowing alumni and parents to attend the cultural festival, could have been completely revoked, you know. You're right. Well, Yamamoto already gave me that lecture. I'm really sorry. Are you actually sorry? Of course. Then I forgive you, thanks. I smiled. She really is kind and forgiving, this girl. Still, I'm surprised you noticed. We were only near the campfire for a short while. The rest of the time, we stayed hidden in the dark. I was sure we wouldn't get caught. I could tell by the scent. Yes. I can tell when Yamamoto-senpai is nearby by his scent. She's got her sweet side, but stuff like this is a little creepy. Honestly, the core of Matsuo kind of reminds me of Akari. But hey, you were amazing too. The festival was really lively. Thanks, even the campfire. Didn't it feel taller than last year's? Ugh, what? I'm trying to give you a compliment, and that's the reaction I get. It's nothing. I just thought it would have been nicer if the person complimenting the festival wasn't you, but him. You really are totally in love with Yamamoto, huh? Honestly, even as someone who also likes Yamamoto, I find Matsuo's level of devotion a little much. Just so you know, a bit of advice. He's not great with people who push too hard, you know. After living with Yamamoto for a few months, I've started to get a feel for how he operates. And the way he's always a little guarded, When people come at him too directly, he tends to keep his distance and become cautious. He's kind of like a cat that way. Kinda cute, really. Hayashi-senpai. Yeah. You're being annoying. Matsuo's voice carried a faint tone of anger. Not quite emotional yet, but right on the edge, clearly holding it in with logic and willpower. I gave you that advice as a little thank you for livening up the festival. That's what we call meddling. Sorry about that. I wasn't sure what exactly pushed her buttons, but since she seemed genuinely upset, I offered a sincere apology. So, how was it, the folk dance with senpai? What do you mean? Was it fun? Were you happy? Did it thrill you? It did, didn't it? Unforgivable, this is lawsuit-level betrayal. Ah, I get it now. Matsuo claimed she called to file a complaint, but the truth is, she just wanted to know how the folk dance went. Honestly, she can be kinda cute sometimes. Not really, it was just normal. That answer is like 1/10 of what I asked, you know. He's not good at dancing, you know. His footing was all over the place, and he almost tripped every time he tried a step. I'm actually pretty good at dancing, so I let him. Then, little by little, he started getting better, and within 5 minutes, he didn't look clumsy anymore. Excuse me. But once he started getting the hang of the dance, his mind seemed to start drifting to something else. I think he became aware of it. Holding hands with me, I mean. Maybe it was the heat from the campfire, or maybe nerves. His hands started getting damp with sweat. But I didn't find it gross. In fact, I was happy. He's aware of me, I thought, and that made me a little excited. But once I realized he was conscious of me, I got self-conscious too, and kind of shrank back. Then I got embarrassed and couldn't even look at his face anymore. We both kept our heads down, the awkwardness setting in, and while the current students were still having fun, we stopped dancing and quietly left the school. We didn't exchange a single word on the way home. Really, for what felt like a long time, we stayed completely silent. It wasn't until we got back to the apartment, right around the time the date was about to change, that we finally spoke. Let's go to the festival again next year. Yamamoto said it in his usual blunt tone, not even looking at me. Grinning brightly, I agreed to his invitation, and ever since then, I've been totally floating. Like a kid looking forward to a field trip, I couldn't wait for next year's cultural festival. I wanted to dance the folk dance with Yamamoto again. Next time, I hoped it would feel more natural between us. So please, just one more year, stay at high school girl level for me, my skin. I caught myself thinking that. What would I have to do for that wish to come true? I'm getting jealous here. That's not true, okay? You've seriously been floating this whole time. I can't argue with that. You used to hate senpai so much back in high school. You've really changed your tune, haven't you? I already told you, I did change, I can't help it. Hayashi-senpai, what? Just how many people know how you feel? Where's that coming from? Just answer, how many, How many people really know? My mom knows. But Yamamoto probably doesn't. Or rather, he hasn't noticed. What about Kasahara-senpai? I didn't expect Matsuo to bring up Akari's name. But thinking about it, she and Matsuo probably got to know each other when they worked together on the festival committee last year. Probably not. I see, yeah. A little pang of guilt struck me. Even though I'd resolved to pursue Yamamoto, I think there's still a part of me somewhere deep down that thinks it might be better if Yamamoto and Akari ended up together. You're not going to talk to Kasahara-senpai about it? I hadn't even considered it. This feeling I have for Yamamoto, if I told Akari about it, would she support me, cheer me on? She's my best friend, so I know the answer. Akari would absolutely support me with everything she's got. I don't think I will. But maybe that's exactly why I couldn't bring myself to tell her how I felt about Yamamoto or ask for her help. That's such a waste. A waste? I think you should use whatever's available to you, or rather, I would have used it. That's my choice, isn't it? Well, that's true. Still, if you're going to talk to someone about Yamamoto-senpai, Kasahara-senpai seems perfect for it. Why? Why, you ask? Matsuo's voice from the phone sounded a little awkward. Those two, they dated back in high school, didn't they? Afterward, thank you so much for reading. Between soul-searching and 3 square meals a day, I'll take the meals. Unlike the previous arcs, this one starts off with the heroine-related drama more or less settled. Maybe that's why I felt like I could take on some bolder developments this time around. The biggest challenge was figuring out how to get a heroine who's already graduated back into a school uniform, and how to get a protagonist who's also graduated, has strong feelings about the cultural festival, and hates breaking rules to sneak into the after-party. To make that happen, I squeezed every last bit out of my measly brain. The result: the heroine is suddenly handed a uniform by her old homeroom teacher. And the protagonist, overwhelmed by her persistence, goes to the after-party even though he knows it's not allowed. In other words, yes, she just bulldozed her way through, a total brute force move. Dude, you really don't have a brain, do you? Seriously, I couldn't stop laughing after I finished writing that part. But honestly, I think this arc ended up being the most rom-com-esque of all. Although the series is technically categorized as a romantic comedy, I never really felt like it acted like one until now. It always felt more like one of those weekday daytime dramas for housewives, you know? That was the vibe I got while writing it. And judging by that ending, it's looking like we're headed straight back into the melodrama zone. So how was it? The long-awaited reveal of Yamamoto's past, which is still unnamed? I hope to see you again soon. End of Volume 4.